Welcome, everyone, to the 2021 No Direction Holiday Special. I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram.
The Holiday Special is something we've been doing for the last couple of years now, and it's just become one of my favorite traditions at the network, where we get to sit down, we chat with different members of the network, because we have this giant staff of talented people who I love very much, and I do not take the time to chat with as often as I can. And so the Holiday Special is just one time a year where I'm absolutely guaranteed to sit down and talk to a whole bunch of our staff and just catch up, see how their year was, see what they're doing, see what they're excited about in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there used to be a time that we knew everybody on the network because, like, I was on all the shows with them, and so we hang out all the time. But now there's so much awesome stuff that I get to know most of these staff as a fan of their work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool to see just when they're topping the Pathfinder Infinity charts, or when their names are just coming up regularly in press releases about books that are coming out. It's exciting to be associated with the people that are working with us on the network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people on the network are like family, and they have been with us for years. But there's some people that have made cameos on the podcast that predate the majority of the staff, including one who just managed to blow the surprise. I've got my girls here. They have not been on the show in a while. So here's Abigail. Abigail, you want to say hi?
Hi.
There we go.
Hi, Abigail.
Oh, a little higher. Abigail's a little too little. So Abigail, you're on Daddy's podcast. This is the Holiday Special. You want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Oh.
Yeah, so Abigail was born around the time we switched from an 8 o'clock to a 9 o'clock start time. So she was usually in bed when the podcasts would start, the start time. But Scarlett, the older sister, has been around longer. And
Yay, Scarlett!
So longtime fans definitely remember the Scarlett cameos through the years. And if you haven't seen her in a while, she is quite big now. Mm-hmm. How are you doing, Scarl?
Good.
All right. So, girls, how was your holiday? What were some of the things that you enjoyed?
Good.
Mm-hmm. What did you like?
I enjoyed making the snow slide outside, and I enjoyed shaving my head. I enjoyed as Batman.
You enjoyed Batman? So Batman is our guinea pig, and Abigail spent some time with Batman on her lap today. Scarlett has been asking for this buzz cut on the side for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but
Tina was surprised. She was saying that none of her friends have a haircut like that, no one in the family. But I was suggesting that a lot of the heroines in the cartoons that Scarlett watches, they're cool, tough action stars, and that is a cool, tough action star haircut. And she's also showing off one of the many Snake Eyes accessories that she got for Christmas. You want to show off the blades, Carl? Oh.
Oops, I thought you had the helmet.
Oh, you can go get the helmet too.
I can't show it.
Yeah, put it in front of Dad's face.
There we go.
She can't
This
hear
way.
me.
Boom.
Oh, lots of stabbing. That stabs in many directions at once. Quick, somebody stat that weapon. I mean, actually, one of my favorite minis I'm looking forward to painting has Carl's haircut.
What is it?
Look, it's a miniature that has a haircut just like Scarlett's.
Ooh, pretty.
She's a combat medic. Emphasis on the combat.
Love it.
Abby, do you want to talk about some of the games we played today? No? Okay. You're done? You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Thanks, Abby.
Hey.
I have a feeling this is not the last we've seen of Scarlett, but Abby seems like she is done.
Oh, no. Love the new host, says Trippy Darling. As much as that would actually be great if we could just like pass it down like a dynasty. Suddenly Scarl's coming on here and giving all the Pathfinder tips.
I mean, sorry, Abigail is back after all.
Hello, Abby.
So is Snake Eyes.
Okay, that's it. I will have Snake Eyes on as the next co-host for every future episode, audio only.
Well, luckily it's movie Snake Eyes, and so you'll actually have a co-host that can talk.
Oh, I have not watched this movie because I have not heard good things from you about
the
it.
sword out, it's making a lot of noise. And I have
Oh,
no idea
goodness.
how that picked up on the microphone.
Oh.
Numbat is saying Scarlett should choose the colors for the miniature. Hey, Scarl, come here.
Ooh.
Perram has a miniature that has your haircut.
Cool.
So what colors should Perram paint it?
Maybe a dark brown.
Dark brown, what? The hair or the jacket?
The hair.
Dark brown hair. Okay. What about the jacket?
Green.
Green jacket. Cool.
Dark green.
Dark green. All right.
How about the sword?
What about the big weapon?
Red. Little red dots.
Little red.
Like blood.
So hold on. Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that she is describing Dark Angels.
Really? Because I thought she was describing the Christmas colors.
Okay.
Dark green, red or little red dots.
And blood. Lots of blood. In
Blood,
Christmas.
yeah, you know, just like Christmas. So, girls, did you know this is Daddy's last episode on this podcast?
No.
So, Perram and I are starting a new podcast in the new year.
Looking forward to that one for sure.
Pixar hack.
All right.
Are you dead?
Thank you, girls. So, me and Perram are going to take over.
Okay.
I will see you later. Thank you.
Where's mommy?
You know what this year's felt like for me, Ryan?
Boy, there are so many answers to that question,
I
Perram.
know.
You tell
This
me.
has been one of the years when Pathfinder has released the most things I'm excited about, but I've got to play Pathfinder the least of any time since Pathfinder has existed. And so this has felt like I'm in GM prep mode since January, raging for this campaign that's going to start when I can have people in the game room again.
What campaign are you thinking of?
I really want to run that. Basically, I want to run a campaign, or at least a campaign that starts with an adventure that is basically the Magnificent Seven if the outlaws were vampires.
And the heroes too?
Well, the heroes would be fighting the vampires coming in from what used to be Last Wall.
All right. I'm following you. So cool. And what are you thinking? Actually, 7 PCs?
No, because I you know how much I don't like that many PCs. I'm very. It's going to be basically the Magnificent 3 if I can get away with it. 4 if I have to.
Right. Magnificent 4. 3 of them have like animal companions or familiars, and there's your 7.
Awesome. That'll do it. And considering how often my players love having animal companions, this will work. And if I have to smudge the numbers by inserting a talking weapon, I will. Singing swords all the way. And happy holidays. This is a good time to remind everybody that this, just like all the episodes of No Direction, are filmed live in front of a Twitch audience. If you have any questions for us, any of our guests, or for Ryan, especially Ryan this episode, do get them in and we will answer them throughout the show.
It's in front of a Twitch audience. Are we not also live on Facebook right now?
We are not. We are right now just live on Twitch.
Okay. So yeah, there's been some technical changes to the way we're recording the episodes. And so don't be surprised if in the near future we are streaming on multiple platforms. I say we. Perram and company will be streaming on multiple platforms for every live episode.
Right. Well, there's also the other show that you'll be on that might very well be
probably
doing the same
tricks. So
I like having one solution that I know how to use. This is why I do this for this show. That's why I'll be doing it for all my other shows. That's why I do it for Print Your Games. It's just the same thing going every time.
So the thing is that we've been spoiled by Paizo and them knowing we record live on Wednesday nights. And so it's been no issue for us to get guests. I don't know if we're going to be doing all of our interviews live for the Upshift because they don't. We can't just assume that everyone is free Wednesday nights like we've been able to for the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I'm not used to, like most of the time just to get guests, we just go nudge, hey, you wanna? And it's weird having to go, it'll be weird having to go out and hunt them down. Yeah,
I mean, I've got connections to the Essence 20 guests just to catch people up in case you're not aware. I'll be leaving No Direction so that Perram and I can start the Upshift, which will be the No Direction Network's Essence 20 news, previews, and interviews podcast, which will be focusing on Renegade Game Studios' new Essence 20 role-playing system, which is a system that operates the upcoming Power Rangers role-playing game, the G.I. Joe role-playing game that I co-authored, and the Transformers role-playing game, and possibly more.
And meanwhile, No Direction will still be going strong with 2 brand new co-hosts. And me too. I'm not going anywhere. It's hard to replace Ryan. It's so hard that I had to go get 2 people.
Yes,
to
and
do it.
as I've explained it, Perram is replacing me. 2 people are replacing Perram.
Oh,
because you're moving from the second seat in the producer
how am
seat
I going to get to Montreal? The border is closed.
The border is closed once again. It's true. There are ways to get to Montreal.
Practice, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So the 2 hosts, we're happy. It's time to announce it. Our 2 hosts will be 1, Vanessa Hoskins, which is probably the least surprising announcement of them all, and 2nd, Luis Loza, because Luis is awesome.
Yeah, Luis has been a member of the network for, I want to say 6 years. I could actually call that up while I'm calling it up. So he's been a member of the network for 6 years, but like 4 or 5 years ago, he got hired at Paizo. And so from then we stopped giving him we stopped approaching him with new opportunities within the network. So when we needed people for behind the scenes stuff, it would be like, well, Luis is busy, and Luis might feel a little conflicted being both on like a man of both worlds as he has been. And this year we just kind of said, like, we've never actually asked Luis if he would feel comfortable taking on more network responsibilities, because there's a lot of Luis shaped holes.
You say this, but last year he made a podcast, and then we gave him a podcast.
Yes. Okay. But still, all right, fine. So Luis has been finding his own opportunities, but there are times where we could have presented him an opportunity, but we hesitated. So I am glad that when we had that same conversation of like, should we even bother approach Luis, or would that be weird? We said, no, let's at least approach him, give him the opportunity to accept or deny it. And he accepted, and he was very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. And I'm super pumped for it, because I love hanging out with Luis. I love hanging out with V. And when I get to hang out with them at conventions together, it is some of my favorite times. So I'm hoping that awesome times hanging out at conventions that I get to experience is what you all will get to experience as the show goes forward.
Yeah. And
also, it's hard to imagine 2 other people that know as much about Pathfinder as Luis and V.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of them have like extreme insider knowledge. V has been writing for the Adventure Path line for several years now. She has written all, like, beyond just the Adventure Path. She's written several adventures for Pathfinder, and has also contributed to I would say the majority of the hardcovers that have come out since second edition launched.
And she's a best-selling fiction author over on Pathfinder Infinite.
That's true. Venom and Lace, it's still only episode 1 in the preview, right?
Did 2 come out? I think 2 might have come out. I might be wrong. I've seen a cover for 2.
Cool. I have not seen the cover for 2. Yeah. I am behind on 2. Well, that's definitely something people are going to be hearing about in the near future, in 2022, when Vanessa and Luis take over as co-hosts for No Direction podcast. So, Perram, this is the holiday special. I'm curious about some of the holiday traditions that you and your family celebrate. What do you do in the way of a tree? Real or artificial?
Artificial tree, because real trees are stinky and shed, and we ran out of places to plant them. We used to do the real tree, which we would go get a tree, but we wouldn't cut it down. We would have the big giant bucket full of dirt that the tree would be planted in. And then after the holidays, the tree would get planted in their yard. And so we would have like all the Christmas trees of all the years that we were together as a family. We ran out of yard. And so we were like, we're going to have a great pine forest if we keep this up. So we've transitioned over to fake trees, though we still have like one at the very first Christmas tree back when I was a wee little baby of 1 year old. It still stands, and it is a massively tall pine tree now.
That is very cool. So planting the trees would not be so easy for us. We would need special permits. Like we've got a crabapple tree on the side of the house that every year the whole neighborhood smells like cider because of our tree, and the city won't let us cut it down because of tree regulations. So yeah, we wouldn't just be able to plant any trees, let alone a tree a year. And one of the reasons that I don't have a live tree is that I would feel bad for the trees. I don't want to cut down the tree just to decorate it and then throw its corpse in the yard. But
Mhm.
I grew up my whole life with the artificial trees, and when I moved out on my own, I did try a real tree that year, just because that felt like an experience that I'd never had, and so I
Mhm.
tried it. And it's funny that the first thing you said was that it's stinky, because I enjoyed the smell. I thought that was the upside of having a live tree in my apartment at the time. I didn't care for the upkeep of cleaning it and just the sappiness that just
Yeah.
permeates the air and ends up on everything. And
Mhm.
so
The accidental garden snake you bring into the house.
that did not happen to me. Nope, I
Oh.
don't think there are many garden snakes in December in Montreal. I could be wrong. But anyway, so the happy medium we found is that a lot of the places that sell the real trees around here also will take a lot of the shed leaves and make a wreath out of it. And then you buy the wreath of real leaves and you get that nice pine smell, but you hang it on your
Mhm.
front door so that the shedding goes on the outside. And I don't feel nearly as bad throwing out a bushel of branches at the end of the year.
Some things to look for if you do want to be responsible about how you handle the Christmas trees when it's time to retire them. So, like obviously, the replanting option is super awesome. That way, you have awesome, awesome memories and trees and stuff, and the tree doesn't die. But if you do, look for people that recycle them. Like I know that there are groups that use them to help build artificial reefs for fishes in lakes. That's something that's very valuable. And there, just look around, see if there's any initiatives on how to responsibly retire that tree in a way that doesn't become wasteful.
Now, another holiday tradition, especially around my house, is eggnog.
Oh.
Now, we've actually run out of eggnog in the local grocery stores, and so I had to make my own. And I made this right before supper, which is a couple hours ago for me here, uh, which involves, heating it on the oven so that everything blends together. So this is actually a fairly warm cup of eggnog,
Oh,
which is
wow.
why people have not seen me taking any sips of it. In fact, it's sitting on an ice pack for hopes that it will reach a consumable temperature.
Our
Um,
food tradition is that we bake my grandmother's recipe for cookies
ooh,
that we follow every year, and then we make the icing and mix it up in different colors, and the entire clan decorates the cookies, and then we eat them throughout all of the holiday season because we make a humongous, gigantic batch of cookies, and they usually will last through mid-January.
Oh, wow. Whenever we give gifts of homemade cookies for Christmas or for any holiday, really, they do not last much longer than the holiday. So, are we talking about a really big batch, or do you all pace yourselves?
No, we eat as many cookies as should be unhealthily possible during this season, and they are absolutely delicious cookies.
Nice.
But we make several bowls full of them, and by bowls I mean like this big around tubs
Wow.
filled with cookies. The recipe is like designed that way because my grandmother went forth and procreated with like 9 children. And so the clan is large.
Lava Being is asking, did someone pay the public to not buy eggnog ingredients like the cream cheese factories did, or cream cheese manufacturers did for cheesecake? I mean,
Have
there's a lot of
no
crossover
background on
ingredients.
this.
You
Why
know
would
what?
you
Eggnog in the grocery stores around here, it's like some years it's discounted right after Christmas because there's fridges and fridges full of the stuff. And then some years it's like a week before Christmas and there's no eggnog to be found anymore. So
no idea. And like I can't even imagine not having access to cheesecake ingredients because that is also a holiday tradition is the big gigantic cheesecake we make every year. And like there's always cream cheese.
I do like some cheesecake. We don't make a lot of cheesecake in our house. So it's a holiday tradition, cheesecake at your house?
Hmm. Cheesecake with a strawberry glaze and lots of chopped
Nice.
strawberries that have been
Classic.
candied on top of it. Mhm.
We'll often buy a cheesecake for our birthday
Mhm.
party, but I don't think there's anyone in my family that specializes in making cheesecake. And I feel like you either specialize in cheesecake or you don't bother.
Yeah, like I think like I can't cook very well, but even I can do the family tradition meals because that is an important responsibility is to be able to make the redonkulous amount of sweets. Our Christmas dinners when we get together as a clan is like, yeah, there's the ham and the turkey and all that stuff. No. You will gorge yourself on the 8,000 desserts we made. And everybody will try everybody's desserts, and they all have to be delicious. Like, and before he passed, even my grandfather was like inventing new fudge recipes. And that was and those are valuable to have in the recipe book.
Nice. So on Tina's side of the family, she's Italian, and so they have a lot of seafood traditions, which is great for me. I absolutely love seafood. And so this year, even though we didn't get together with that side of the family, except for her brother, and so her brother, Tina's brother, Tina's sister-in-law, and Tina's niece and Tina's nieces came over to our house. But normally it's the whole thing with that whole side of the family. So Tina's mom still baked. She still cooked as though she was feeding everybody. And then she just sent it out. So we had what's called a coquille Saint-Jacques, which is like cream, potatoes, cheese, and shrimps and scallops in like a little pie tray. Absolutely amazing. A very Quebecois dish. I don't know why it's an Italian tradition, because it's also very much in line with the local cooking. But it's something I look forward to every year. So we had that. We had salted cod. Shrimp rings, several shrimp rings. Tina made the spaghetti with shrimp and a cream sauce for the girls. And Tina's brother came over with some pizzas, which was by request by Abigail. She specifically wanted a cheese pizza, because we never get just a cheese pizza. Because why would you get just a cheese pizza? But apparently it's Abigail's favorite. And then my side of the family does more of a traditional Christmas dinner. We did the turkey, we did the cream cheese, stuffing, potatoes. Sure, there were a couple of other sides. It's nice. It tastes like tradition, and my mom is very good at that specific meal. She's been making it for years, and I like that I married into a family that had a very different tradition, so that I've got a variety of foods now to look forward to around the season.
Wonderful.
Now it is 8:22. Normally, by now, we would be bringing in our first guest. Actually, I guess I should explain to anyone that is not familiar with the format.
We have one available.
We have one available?
Yeah, can't you see?
No.
Oh, yeah, we have a Randall on deck.
Okay, well then let me just explain what people can expect, and then we can bring in our guest. Mm-hmm. So for last year, which kind of kicked off the new regular holiday tradition, we were bringing in network staff, network cast members for 20-minute stints with a 10-minute overlap. So it was fun. We would get somebody in, we would talk to them about what's going on, and then we would have two members of the staff that do not necessarily overlap, do not necessarily have projects in common, and we would get to see them interact, and then we would shuffle in and out. And it was, it was fun. It was a great way to really get a lot of people in, and 20-minute time slots really worked out, gave everyone enough time to get their stuff in. Love being saying random staff encounter. I guess so. I believe I know who this first staff member is. Why don't you let them in, Perram, and we'll start with our guests. It's Randall.
Randall.
Howdy, Randall.
Sorry we can't hear.
Still no Randall. There's the settings. You can hit the
little cog at the bottom middle. Get on it.
All right, so things I'm looking forward to talking to Randall about. New background, so I don't know where he's recording in. We can talk about family stuff, because Randall, I know, is looking after his kids today. Let's see. He did a lot of Randall reads this year. There were a lot of hardcover books that came out for Pathfinder, and he covered the two big ones that came out for the hardcover line, which was Secrets of Magic and Guns and Gears, I believe. I guess I should have double-checked that. Anyway, Randall will correct me. Nope, still nothing, Randall.
Nope. You're going to have to go make sure that in the settings for this, that you have the Yeti selected as your input. Little cog in the middle, bubbles on the right.
No. Turn up the microphone volume.
Yeah. Have you accidentally muted the microphone? Volume's on the back of this one. The front's for the headphones.
Randall, is it plugged in?
Is the light on?
All right. So while Randall's talking about that, Perram, you had mentioned earlier that this was a big year for Pathfinder content.
Oh, yeah.
2021 is a year of tech issues. Oh, and Project JKO said a similar thing. Tech issues are the new holiday tradition. Oh, Randall's back, or is he? Oh, what a bummer.
This is really not great. I'm so sorry, Randall.
Do
Plus,
you
I
wanna
was
just
going to
leave me
brag on you. You're the first person that's used the Yeti for the first time and actually has it sitting in the correct position.
And Nate is in chat, and the pressure is now on for him to not have technical issues. And he's not nearly as tech savvy as Randall. Randall's one of our techies.
Yeah. Randall, I rely on you when I can't program stuff.
All right. So while Randall is dealing with that, Perram, I guess you'll just keep him on the screen because otherwise he's muted, right?
Right.
We won't know if he fixes it on the fly.
Right.
So this was a really big year for Pathfinder 2nd Edition hardcovers. We had the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide, which, yes, was this year. Then Bestiary 3. Then we had a gap. And then...
A big gap.
Big gap. And then in quick succession, we got the Lost Omens Wangi Expanse, Secrets of Magic, Grand Bazaar, Guns and Gears, Absalom, City of Lost Omens, and Monsters of Myth. Of those, the only one that came out that wasn't basically at the same time as another one. Well, no, you know what? No, they all kind of paired up, didn't they? Lost Omens and Secrets of Magic.
The shipping disaster that was 2021 absolutely impacted Paizo this year. We kind of got lucky last year with only a few little delays, and this year it was just like random dice, 50% chance that your book showed up this week.
So the other thing is that the Absalom, City of Lost Omens, has been long delayed, and this year was the year that it finally got through. So it was more hardcovers than we were expecting and than Paizo had originally promised. And man, some quality stuff this year. Just thinking back that the Lost Omens Ancestry Guide was this year and how that really changed the game of what we can expect from Ancestries for Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
I mean, I like the Ancestry Guide a lot. Yeah. And okay, so I like the Ancestry Guide a lot. And it had a lot of fun. That it showed a bunch of stuff for the current ancestries as well as the new ones, and that's kind of why I really dug it. But it was Wangi Expanse when Pathfinder really started to blow up. I mean, that was the book that kind of like, well, technically Legends was started the trend. I think Legends was, oh my gosh, this new crew, this new idea with these Lost Omen books, they've got some legs. But can they do this again? Is this book just like the one-off fluke? And then Wangi comes out, knocks everything out of the park. And that's when the Pathfinder Twitterverse begins to explode. Pathfinder 2 on Twitter right now is a lovely community that I love participating in, and is just absolutely energetic and positive and just full of fun exploration of the wonderful, unique aspects that PF2 has brought to the hobby. And Wangi Expanse was definitely the book that exploded on.
So the standout ancestry for me from Wangi Expanse was the Conrasu. I know we were just talking about that last episode with Hero Forge CEO, whose name is escaping me. But I finally got to play a Conrasu in a one-shot of Sundered Waves run by Jason. Jason from How Do You Do Pods. He ran it for myself, Lauren, and Dave Nelson.
Nice.
And the Conrasu is really fun to roleplay because I get to just be weird. And that's it. I love playing a weird PC, and the Conrasu gives me an excuse to just be someone that does not get social norms, acts just out of sorts in any given social situation. But then mechanically, it is a combat beast. So I got to play my first Pathfinder 2nd Edition Monk, which...
Oh my gosh, with 17 arms!
Yeah, well, so you don't actually have rules for having a whole bunch of arms. That's just how they show up in most of the art. But in any case, like, I was rolling so much damage that I was like, am I doing this wrong? Did I build a higher level character than everybody else? But no, the Monk is a beast. And when paired with a really combat effective ancestry like Conrasu, I was dominating encounters, and I am not used to that. I'm used to being a good hand in the encounters, helpful secondary guy.
And the Monk is definitely one of the classes that have really enjoyed a PF2 glow up with the way that the class feats work and how the advanced player's guide has sort of embraced combat styles and the action economy. It's just a wonderful time to punch somebody in the face.
So I don't know if I was critical of the Monk, but I questioned the decision to make the Monk strength based instead of wisdom based. I thought it would have made more sense to do that they are getting strength bonuses from their wisdom rather than just saying, no, you're a very strong character, and so you're just punching very strong because of big muscles. I thought that was something that maybe if they introduced the brawler later, that could be the brawler's niche, whereas the monk would add wisdom to AC and strength. That's how I visualized it, but it works very effective the way it was. I still felt like I should have a decent wisdom, which really just feels like a key component of the monk. And I'm glad that I had a few characters under my belt before trying a monk out, because now that I understand how focus powers work, monk is very focus power focused. And so having a good idea how that works makes it made it easier to build that character and play him.
I always felt like the wisdom focus on the monk was almost like the paladin, in that it pigeonholed it so harshly into one very narrow view of what this class concept could be, what this martial artist focused character should be, that it basically eliminated so many other options or versions of that character. And now that PF2 is sort of opened up and exploring all the aspects of characters and myth and influence from around the world, I mean, the fact that it is strength based, and the one thing that most monks have in common is that they focus on perfecting um, the what their body is capable of, because they will use that body to beat the crap out of you without the aid of anything else, makes so much more sense. And it opens the door that you can have the wisdom based monk, you can have the charisma monk, you can have the absolutely dumped wisdom into the floor drunken monk, and all of these different class fantasies are now possible instead of one very narrow view based on 80s pop culture.
Well, I think in a version of Pathfinder with a different lineage, the class would have been brawler and monk would have been a path, like the monastic brawler. And that's where, oh, well, you're super strong, not because you go out in the street and just, pound pavement and pound faces, but because you have studied an inner peace that has manifested in a physical perfection as an option of that class. But I am not surprised that monk made the cut for the core rulebook and the brawler didn't. It just makes sense that this was the way to go.
And PF2 sort of seems like it's the addition of this game's lineage that is deciding to break away from the most of the tradition, more than any other, like more than even fourth edition D&D tried to break with traditions, but for very different reasons and very different ways. It's like, let's not try to break just mechanically. Let's also break culturally from these expectations.
So I would agree with that post core rulebook. Core rulebook was pretty much on the regular path. But one of the strengths of second edition, I would agree, is just killing a lot of the proud nails and finding a way to apply the realistic, like the sociological advancements we've made as a society have now been applied to this Pathfinder, this fantasy game for the better. Like I've seen the critiques of like, oh, well, if you're making everybody a more nuanced character, then you're eliminating the classic bad guy tropes. And it's like, there's still plenty of room for classic bad guy tropes. And now there's also all kinds of room for nuanced storytelling, nuanced society, nuanced character interactions.
Well, it's also one of the first role-playing games, not first role-playing games, first versions of this lineage of role-playing game. There's been lots of other role-playing games that have explored these spaces before in different ways. But of the D&D inspired lineage role-playing, that is acknowledging that there is more legitimate inspiration for fantasy gaming than just the set of novels in Appendix E from the old AD&D core rulebook. Like, this isn't just Dragons of Autumn, Twilight, Raymond E. Feast, and Tolkien anymore. This is Final Fantasy, and I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and The Lord of the Rings. The movie is the perfect perfection of this form, and like realizing that an entire multiple generations have grown up and reinvented what this game means, and doesn't seem to be beholden to just one version of this game back when it was created.
Now, you were saying that Lost Omens Legends was one of the big standout hits, and that was followed by Mwangi Expanse. So for the two Lost Omens books that came out between it, PFS, so the Lost Omens Pathfinder Society Guide, and then Lost Omens Ancestry Guide, I'm trying to think back of just what my opinion of those books were, because I think they were a little more splatty, and I think you're right. I don't think they pushed the envelope as much in making like cultural changes and the presentation of the campaign setting.
PFS book was very good for being a companion piece to the Pathfinder Society and understanding how that fits into the world, and a very important read for that time and bringing that in. But it didn't really push the boundaries in the other directions. It was definitely following stuff that we already knew because we helped create this fiction by working in this group campaign setting for these past decade. So, and Ancestries was fun, but it was very splatty. You're right. But as far as exploring the campaign setting in new and exciting ways and making me want to flip through each page as if I was reading my favorite novel, that is Legends, Wongi, the Grand Bazaar. Those are the top 3 in my list for the Lost Omens line, and maybe my top 3 favorite books in Pathfinder. Period.
Wow. Grand Bazaar does make that top 3 for me. I don't know why it just didn't enchant me the way it seems to have for a lot of people. Maybe it was because it was right after Moangi Expanse, and it just did not feel like it was as groundbreaking a book. But it was like, had they come out in the opposite order, then Grand Bazaar maybe would have felt like the primer for Moangi Expanse. But instead, Moangi Expanse felt like huge impact, and then Grand Bazaar, similar space, smaller impact.
I guess I love what Grand Bazaar did is like how I like to tour, or I like to travel, and I like to go to new places and explore their shops and explore like feet on the ground, meeting the people on the ground type thing. And Grand Bazaar let me have a tour through Absalom's market. Grand Bazaar did a better job of selling Absalom than Absalom did with twice as many pages.
I believe twice as many is underestimating how much bigger Absalom is than Grand Bazaar.
Right.
Grand Bazaar might have been the smallest book of the year.
It's so good though. I love Grand Bazaar because it's literally just like I'm just shopping through this really wonderful, characterful neighborhood that I would love to spend time in.
So now Lauren is in chat talking about Guns and Gears. Now I know Lauren is the next staff member we're expected to bring on, and since unfortunately it looks like we might not be getting Randall, which is so unfortunate. Randall really cut time out of his day with his kids.
Yeah, I really feel bad that Randall wasn't able to join us. But I can hit this button and make Lauren appear.
Lauren! Oh my goodness.
Hello,
Lauren. Well, hello, everyone.
Oh, thank goodness we can hear you, Lauren.
Thank goodness.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
We hear you.
We have
no
problem.
No.
Yes, I think I hear you.
Oh, good. Good.
No, wait,
turn up your headphones.
This is the worst.
Yeah, Ryan's seen. I've been having some audio issues. All right, here's what I'll do. I'll listen to you from the Twitch. Okay.
Oh, what's the delay like, Perram?
That's going to be
now
like 20 seconds.
I'll just have to hear myself every now and then, so I'll be careful.
20 seconds?
Oh my gosh, this is maybe not the best, but hey.
Lauren, you can hear us? You can hear something? Oh, what?
This is the worst. This is
kind of. I have a workaround.
Okay. Yeah, that was a 20-second delay workaround.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren.
Lauren of the past, please tell us of your holiday traditions.
Well, I think she wants to talk about Guns and Gears.
Okay, Lauren of the past, instead of holiday traditions, make it Guns and Gears. And in 20 seconds, she'll hear us.
Y'all, I'll talk about whatever you want. Really,
this is not going to be fun. Lauren, you've got to find a solution here.
Every time you talk, she stops to listen.
No!
And it's...
I don't know how to fix the delay.
I don't know. So, as we said, we are using some new technology to run the network, to run the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we are new to troubleshooting the problem.
Hold on. I'm going to try something here.
Okay. I will type to her in the private chat.
No, we're going to do this live troubleshooting, gang. All right. Lauren, Can you see this infinite mess? Do you see the infinite mess? Push this button in
Yes.
the infinite mess. The cog. Come up to audio. And then make
Okay.
sure your input and output are the correct ones. And I hope that
Perram,
worked.
Yes,
not-
they are correct.
Do not open a vortex without warning me next time.
The infinite possibility space of the multiverse. I had to bring it in to help solve Lauren's tech issues.
Oh, those were the infinite possibilities. We were getting just like the slightly different possibilities from one to the next, so you don't even notice it. But then, like, probably way down at the end of our field of vision, we've got some actual alternate reality, totally different from ours.
It's the one where I wear a green hat.
I was thinking we all kept chickens as pets, but sure, you wearing a green hat, totally different.
Well, my favorite hosts.
Yes, our
I
top
think
two
this
guests
isn't going
so
to
far.
work, is it?
No.
No.
Oh.
This is
Have a
sad.
lovely holiday, and I can't wait to see you guys again in 2022, which will hopefully be a better year.
All right. Bye, Lauren. Thanks for making the effort.
2 for 2. This is not a great. Did you have problems, Ryan? Did this just
No,
work?
not at all. Well, you remember I logged on and you lost my mic for 2 seconds, and that was
Right.
it. All right. Next up, we've got Scott, who has he even confirmed his time? All right, Perram. This is a bit of a debacle of a holiday
Oh,
special.
no.
If it just ends up being you and I talking for 3 hours, not the worst way to go.
No, not. But Scott, if you want to hop in here early and maybe get this delay thing fixed, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm just Scott is not listed as having seen the message that I sent him earlier about how to join in, and I don't think he confirmed that this was a good time slot for him. So we might have a whole different kind. We might find new issues with every single guest.
So let's talk about the role-playing game
Yes.
side of things. We talked about the campaign setting, the Lost Omens wonderfulness there. But we had what was the first one we had? We had
Bestiary 3.
Which one? Bestiary
Bestiary
3,
3.
which was the last Bestiary, and that was weird.
Yep, and you know what? Yeah, very good book, perfectly fine. I don't have super specific memories of my feelings about that book, and I have not used any of the content from it because I barely GM'd. Oh, hold on, did I GM Pathfinder at all this year? I don't think I did.
Wow.
Yeah, that's weird. That's going back
We
to what
must
you were
solve
saying
this.
earlier about not playing
Okay,
so
the rest
much.
of the stream is you GMing a PFS scenario.
Forget a PFS scenario. I need to GM something in Bestiary 3. So let me just roll up a random page.
So a new PFS scenario.
Yeah, so it's just not a book that I have had any personal experience with, which means that my memories of it have faded, because typically we will binge a hardcover, and then as soon as I put it down, I do not think about it again until it's time to use options from that book, just because there's so much pressure on us to know those books by the time we are reviewing them or breaking them down on the show, that I need a break from the books after we're done with them.
Yeah, and it's like with the Bestiary, I do remember that it helped. It definitely felt like this is the one that was needed because it filled in all the rest of the gaps. But the biggest news was that it was going to be the last one, and that was what stuck with me. Is like, this is another great Bestiary. Can I have 3 more? I want 3 more. I want you all to start exploring weird monsters from cultures I've never read about before, and then I'm going to go find out how lovely they are and how they will mangle my party.
So thinking back to the 3.5 days, I believe they got up to Monster Manual 6, and by 5 and 6 they were weird, and the imagination wasn't quite there, so they were trying to pad space by saying, here's a monster and his lair and a mini adventure, and it's like, it's not what I want from a monster manual, and it really feels like they are just finding new ways to fill the page count. Whereas Pathfinder got up to Bestiary 5 or 6, 5, right?
Pathfinder got bestiary 6, and 6 was one of my favorites. Like
the last
it
couple
was
of
great. They
bestiaries were amazing.
so strong, which is why I want more of them.
Yeah, so for Paizo to say that we're only doing 3 bestiaries this long, it's not like they've learned a lesson from first edition, because the first edition bestiaries are all great, except maybe 2 is okay.
Yeah, 2 was definitely we need to publish these monsters the bestiary, not we wanted to publish these monsters the bestiary.
And it's funny how the trends kind of continued. Bestiary 1, 2, and 3 in second edition. Each one feels like the second edition counterpart to bestiaries 1, 2, and 3 from first edition.
Except 2 was better this time around, because
yes, 2 is a better 2, but it still thematically still feels like this is the mandatory bestiary.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I agree with you. There is room for more bestiaries. I know they're trying to present other ways to present monsters, and
we're going to get Book of the Dead, and that's going to be awesome.
But do I have to wait a whole year for non-undead new monsters?
Yes.
Oh,
gonna have to wait a whole new edition, because there's no more need for undead after Book of the Dead. We just do entirely different monsters. And you won't get a new zombie for 7 more years, Ryan.
Wow. But, what if a cool new movie comes out that brings a whole new angle to zombies, and I want those zombies in the game?
To do that for one of his blog articles, and we will be happy.
Perfect. So I hope it doesn't sound like I'm ragging on Bestiary 3. I do remember leaving it with a very good impression, and I just cannot really speak to it beyond that. Whereas Secrets of Magic.
Yes.
Secrets of
my gosh, Secrets of Magic
cool.
was so good. Like I am noted and vocal that, hey, casters needed a little bit of love in second edition. And then Secrets of Magic came along, and they got that love. There is so much goodness in Secrets of Magic that I'm a happy wizard that I get to Kamehameha the crap out of that dragon and most of the countryside around it at the same time.
And even before you get to the options, the first 20 some odd pages where it's really getting into the lore of magic, but from multiple different angles. And they're fun to read. They're fascinating. There is far more thought out about how the magic systems work, how the schools relate to one another. Like, it was really interesting to read. And it reminded me when second edition decided that the bard would be an occult caster. And we had Mark Moreland on, and you weren't actually in that episode, but Mark Moreland was Mark Seifter was explaining the new ways they were looking at the schools of magic. The stuff that came out in Secrets of Magic, it blew up what that was. Like, he gave kind of this overview of what they were thinking, and then they were just kind of sitting on it, because it's not even hinted at in any of the hardcovers until this book is finally like, in case you were wondering how magic works. What-a!
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's supposedly a great book to throw that into. And then, of course, two classes. One of my favorite classes from first edition, the Magus, its remake. And we were critical during the playtest version, but the version of the Magus that we did end up getting at the end is wonderful. I love my teleporty bouncy Maguses that I get to do, like the just leaping around the battlefield with magic and just surprise, I'm gonna hit you with fire. That is exactly the kind of character I want to play when I play a Magus. I want magic to be every bit a part of the fighting style as it is when I'm blasting things. Like, that was exactly what a PF2 version of the Magus should have been. And the Summoner, I'm less hype on, but it is definitely a good class now. And I like the way they've done it, that it is embracing that whole sharing your action pool system for that first edition, and that it definitely leans into, I am playing the monster, not the out of combat I'm playing the character, but in combat I'm the monster.
So I actually feel like that was definitely the first edition one. I feel like in second edition Summoner, that's an option, but there's also an option where you can really be, I am the caster with my monster buddy.
I felt in first edition, especially pre-Unchained, that it was very much, I'm a full caster that has a good monster, but I am still an unstoppable caster.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They specialized in the pit spells, which were some of the most aggravating spells in the game.
Yeah, like for some of the best summoners I've seen come to my PFS tables, they did not even need that monster. That monster was barely a part of their character. They were destroying combats without needing the monster. Whereas the PF2 summoner, regardless of how it works, that monster is an integral part of that character.
Yeah, and first edition summoner was one of my was one of the classes I was the least interested in. Whereas the second edition summoner, in reading it, I was coming up with a character that I would be very happy to play. And so that just shows that this one, for whatever reason, whatever changes they made to it, works for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then Guns and Gears surprised the crap out of us.
Well, I mean, when you say surprise, because from the playtest, I got a very good idea of what Guns and Gears was to be. So are you saying from 0 to the book?
Right. From playtest, that was when the surprise hit me. Because the Inventor came out, and it was a great idea. It was such a cool concept and such a great way to execute on that concept. And then, of course, the Gunslinger itself. I love playing PF2 gunslingers. They get to do such cool things with their guns. I like the sniper. Setting up that one shot, one kill was absolutely the kind of thing I like to do. And you heard me just talk about how much I love the Megas. The super mobile version of the gunslinger that gets to move around and do melee attacks mixed in with their gunslinging. That is a fun character to play and gets to play with all the Pathfinder stuff except spellcasting. And they get to play with all the toys. And I love classes that get to play with all the toys.
Well, Guns and Gears is definitely the toys book. I feel like maybe I need to play a gunslinger as soon as possible, just because it's a class that maybe it's just like prejudice towards the concept or whatever, but I just have never been too excited about gunslingers. And yet I'm really excited about Guns and Gears, especially the Gears section. So I think if I finally even just built a gunslinger, I would get a better idea of what this could do at the table and why I should be excited about this class.
I would love to play. You remember me talking about the vampire game I kind of want to run, vampire themed one.
Yeah.
I would love to see a crossbow ace vampire hunter using the gunslinger class. That would be a fun class to get to throw around.
And I do appreciate that they made sure that the gunslinger had all those crossbow options. But if I'm going to build a gunslinger, I'm going to build a gun using gunslinger.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, guns are cool and all, but if I'm hunting vampires, I want the crossbow for obvious reasons.
Yes. So Roxman in chat is saying that they can confirm gunslinger's really fun. It can really, it can play like a ranged fighter that really slaps on crits.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as Mwangi Expanse really set the tone for like changes to the Pathfinder campaign setting and how to present new cultures and really expand on the parts of the world that had not been explored, I feel like Guns and Gears had almost as much impact, maybe even as much impact on how I perceive the world of the Pathfinder role-playing games, so the Lost Omens campaign setting, as Mwangi Expanse did.
Yeah, it definitely had because we love Luis. We've gotten a love of Arcadia just as a byproduct of loving Luis. And this is definitely the book that Arcadia got to really like pull the curtain back a little bit. And then you have the monster guns.
Abigail's back.
More Abigail. At least her audio works.
What have you been up
Except
to?
She can't hear me either.
I'm playing a game.
You playing a game? What game are you playing?
The dragon game.
Oh, the How to Train Your Dragon game? That's super cool. It's even got D20s.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You going to go back to that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
So we need that is still
Hold on. Okay. No, I won't be coming upstairs before bedtime. So good night, Abby. Yeah, no, Abigail. I'm done. I'm down here for the night.
Oh.
All right. Sorry, you were saying?
That is one of the class fantasies that we still need in PF2. Not that there are very many left, is definitely like the dragon rider type or the beast tamer type. We get a little bit of that with the ranger, or the druid, but they're definitely not the I have a giant beast and this is my life now.
All right, so Perram, I'm going to talk about something that we've never talked about in public, but at PaizoCon 2020, so the PaizoCon, oh, Randall's in chat saying, sorry, gang. Randall, we're sorry. We really miss you.
Yeah, we really
Happy holidays to you and your family, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, so at PaizoCon 2020, one night I was like, a tradition of PaizoCon is hanging out with the No Direction crew, so anyone that feels like it, let's just have a private chat. And Luis was the only one that ended up being free. So he and I were just chatting, and I outlined an entire adventure path that was entirely around part one is you get a dragon baby, and then you slow your aging. And so this would be an adventure path that would take place over hundreds of years as you and the dragon grow up, and each book would be the next stage, because I think there are 6 age stages of dragons. And it would have like bonded stuff, and a lot of your actions would be like the dragon swoops in and like adds to your AC because they're swooping in and taking a like deflecting a blow, or they land on your back and you get a fly speed for a round. And I was really having fun with just the concept of what you could do with not just a character that interacts with the dragon, but an entire campaign that's based around it. And you know, he helped me with the idea. It was not something that ever went anywhere, unfortunately, but it was fun. And maybe it's something that now that Infinite's a thing, and I'm not going to have an outlet for my Pathfinder ideas, maybe I'm finally going to have to force myself to write it.
That's like that reminds me of one of the games I played at PAX this year, called Dragon Dad is Dead.
Oh, does it have to be so sad?
Oh, yes.
Oh! All right. So Dragon Dad is Dead is about orphan wormlings, or
Yeah,
adopted baby. Okay.
Trying to grow up to be the new Dragon Dad.
And this is an RPG?
No, it's a board game.
Really? I haven't heard about this at all.
Yeah, well, it was like premiering there, so and all in all, I don't actually think I'd recommend this game to anybody but very young audiences. But hey, growing up dragons, I remember doing something with that, and it was a fun name to say right now.
All right, so it looks like we're not getting Scott, unfortunately, but Michelle
But
should be in.
She is ready to go.
Okay.
And let's bring Michelle on now.
Michelle,
Hello?
there's a lot of pressure now. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Your video is frozen. And if that's our only problem, no, you're not even frozen anymore. Yes, we have a guest. We have Michelle on. Welcome back to the show, Michelle.
I'm glad to be back. It's always such a fun time.
Okay, I don't know if you've been following this whole episode, but the reason we're so excited is because you are the first of our, I guess if you count the first guest who even backed out early on, you are the first of 5 scheduled guests to actually make it on the show full time, and it's all working. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I saw the tech difficulties. It was hurting my heart a little because it's like, oh, I wanted to hear what you all had to say, but
yeah, we might have to do a makeup episode or something, or just some kind of hangout, even if we don't stream it. But yes, Michelle is here. How are you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing well. Happy holidays, everybody. Looking
Happy
forward to the
holidays.
new year.
What are some of the traditions you celebrate around this time of year?
So here's the thing. I don't have traditions. I have basically every year, I say, this is the thing we're going to do. And then I do it for 1 year and I never do it again.
Cool. What did you do this year?
So this year, stayed home and watched movies with my girlfriend. We just, put some stuff on Netflix. I think we watched The Harder They Fall, actually. So that was our Christmas movie.
Harder They Fall. That sounds familiar, but
it's a new Netflix movie. Idris Elba is a bad guy cowboy, lots of guns, very exciting, very bloody.
I'm interested.
Okay, that sounds exciting. And so what are some of the things you've done in the past?
So last year we did get like a tree and we decorated it and we like exchanged gifts and we did all the like Christmassy things. And then towards the end of it, we were just like, is this fun if it's just us two? And it's like, it's okay. Maybe we'll set this aside for a couple of years. Try again one day, but.
All right. So holiday seasons aside, you've had a pretty exciting 2021. I would imagine the Mangi Expanse would be one of the highlights.
Yeah. Working on the Manga Expanse was fantastic. I got to write like 5 new deities, which anybody who knows me knows that's like my thing. I love clerics, I love paladins. So getting to write like those deity entries was great. I got to write a horrifying monster that everyone hates. You know, the half person who is literally half of a person.
Nope.
You know, I got to write an adventure for the adventure path that takes place in the Mwangi. I got to write Hurricane's Howl, which was fantastic. You know, I loved working on that, and having that like in my hand with my name on the cover was like one of the greatest feelings ever.
So, what kind of feedback have you had, or what kind of reaction have you had to the work that you've been doing?
So, you know what? Always going to be mixed reviews. And I try not to worry about it too much. I just try to do my thing, and I just sort of store it in the back of my head and go, all right, I'll do that a little bit better next time. Like, I think the big thing with writing an adventure is that until you do it, I never, there are so many things that I just do in my head when I run games at home, and then realizing I had to take all those things and put them on paper was actually very daunting. But I really valued the experience, and I would love to do it again one day.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I've written more adventures for publishing in the last year than I have like written adventures in any capacity, because I don't usually write my adventures down. And just when there's certain expectations of page count and how much time the sessions should take, and I'm just blowing through all of the numbers that I've been projecting, it's like, oh no, I need to compartmentalize a lot of these ideas and turn a section into a paragraph.
See, for me, the thing is, when I GM, I do so much improv and I do so much shorthand, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going to see what you do. I'm never going to plan more than one session in advance, so that if you turn everything upside down, I haven't like wasted any prep time. But then when you have to write an adventure for other people, and you have to be like, I don't have that luxury of adapting. I have to guess what the most likely thing people will do is, and I have to write like, if they do XYZ, this is what happens. And if your players do 37, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I am a prep GM, and I have exactly one published adventure that Crystal mostly helped make that actually happen, and it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. So mad respect to both of you all.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm finding subsystems are your friend when it comes to a section that you just want to give players a lot more freedom. Just find some way of tallying some points, and then, you know, the more points they get, the more favorable the next section is for them. And nice chart could take up a lot of, or save you a lot of word count.
I did throw a couple of those in there. There's a couple of little like, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you know, there's a couple of little point systems in there for the players who just want to like have some space to play around.
Speaking of not spoiling anything, I assume you're under NDA for projects that we would love to talk about, but we can't.
Listen, I would love to talk about Book of the Dead. It has been so hard for me to not talk about Book of the Dead, especially because everybody else is talking about Book of the Dead, and I just want to join in, and I can't. And it's,
why is everyone else talking about Book of the Dead?
Because everybody wants to, you know, play an undead. That's the thing that everybody's excited about.
Yep. So not all the other authors are talking about Book of the Dead.
No.
Okay.
All the fans, like all the fans and all the players have been like, oh, I can't wait to be this and I can't wait to be that. And I'm just like sitting on my hands like, oh, I would love to join in on this conversation, but I got to wait 3 more months. So
I absolutely want to explore life after life.
But yeah, since I am under NDA on all of the things that I'm super excited about, I figured I would just totally go in a different direction and talk about another RPG.
All right, what's on your mind?
So I'm going to talk about Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Yes.
This has been on my radar for a while. Why is this awesome?
So Thirsty Sword Lesbians, it is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. It is all about like exploring emotional conflict through like fighting, and it's all about like really, really character driven stories, which is why I love it. Also, just the title is, if that doesn't sell you, then you're in the wrong neighborhood. But yes, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, I have been playing it. I have been writing third party content for it.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so this game has just been like on my brain every single day. Um, and I wrote a playbook for this game, because the one thing that the core book was really missing was to be a lesbian who turns into a sword. And so I addressed that with my third party playbook.
How could they have overseen? Like, how was that such an oversight?
I know, right? But I have solved this issue here with the Blade Soul, who is a character who transforms into a sword to be wielded by another person. So if you've seen Soul Eater, if you played Boyfriend Dungeon, you sort of get an
Yes.
idea of, the kind of thing that I'm going for here. And the thing that I really wanted to drive home, because the thing that Thirsty Sword Lesbians really does is that every playbook, every character has their like core conflict. So like it really helps you like role play your character. Like you have the super paladin like devoted, whose whole thing is like, I have dedicated my entire life to a cause, and maybe that's not super healthy emotionally. Maybe I need self-care. So with the Blade Soul, their whole thing is like, when you turn into a literal object, how do you handle people objectifying you?
Oh, cool.
It's like,
It's not cool, but cool concept to explore.
yeah, which is also like a big thing in like things like Boyfriend Dungeon, Soul Eater, where or even it just like Pokemon, where you have like this partner who does battle for you, and it's like, there's always the bad guy who's like, my partner is just a tool for me to get stronger. So I really wanted to like explore that concept and see where I could go with that and what fun I could have with that. Yeah, working on Thirsty Sword Lesbians has been so cool because there is a big, big fan community for it. And like there are like tons and tons of people who are like writing playbooks and adventures, and it's all been so awesome.
I appreciate
So
Powered by Lesbians tag on the cover.
yeah, so
Yes,
Powered by
yes.
Lesbians is the CC by 40 tag sort of. So like you know how you have Powered by the Apocalypse, which is Apocalypse World, and you have like games that are based on For the Queen are like descended from the Queen. So any like third party Thirsty Sword Lesbian content is powered by lesbians.
Nice. So
They have the branding down perfect for this
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
I am aware of the game, and I'm aware of Powered by the Apocalypse, but not much more than aware. So let's say I sit down for my first session of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. What's the experience going to be like? What can I expect?
Okay, so the game is very open-ended because it is like, these are the character concepts and you decide what setting you're going to put them in. So you could do high fantasy, you could do sci-fi. The first thing you really do is introduce the characters and get to know everybody. And like sort of decide what your relationships are with each other. So yeah, let's say you're playing like that super devoted knight who just cares about the thing that they're sworn to, and another player is like this very dastardly Han Solo type. How do you two feel about each other? And it really is about like exploring like, how do your interpersonal relationships work, and then you get thrown into an adventure, like as you do, and there are the mechanics. It's just like roll 2d6 and you add a stat.
Okay.
And so usually the adventures are about trying to solve a bigger conflict. One of the mechanics in the game is a toxic power that is like a big corporation or a like religious oligarch, and usually that's the antagonist. So it is about like trying to tackle these like large, larger than life, dangerous, toxic things, and it's about how you grow as you do it. So it is a game that is really big on like emotional vulnerability and openness, rather than like how many points of damage you can do.
That sounds
No.
really cool. We have Alex. He's ready to come in. So, Perram, did you have one last question before we can wrap up on this?
So does the game actually like use the relationships and drama that you have with your other characters as like a mechanic towards how the dice roll?
Yes, so there is a mechanic called strings. And basically, if you make an impression on someone or you do something that they like, you exchange strings. And you can spend your strings to influence that person to like improve their dice rolls or like encourage them to do something. So that is sort of like your relationship tracker. Um, and you can either spend all of your strings and like give all of your party your bonuses and like be super supportive, or you can sort of hold on to those strings as you like cultivate those relationships. And when you get a certain number of them, you sort of like advance your relationship with them and like learn more about each other.
That's such a cool like visual and metaphor, and it's like I totally get what strings I have in my life with the people around me and exactly how I use them. So, oh man, that is clever.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yep. The game is by April Kit Walsh, Gay Spaceship Games on Twitter, and I think it's one of my favorite RPGs because it is so good at telling you what it is and then selling you on that fantasy, which I think that is the most important thing that a role-playing game can do. If I'm playing a game and you tell me like this is the experience you're going to have, and the mechanics reinforce that and push me into that, I think that is the perfect role-playing game.
Nice. All right, well, Michelle, stick around. We're just bringing Alex in, but you are, you've got 10 more minutes with us, and we'll make sure that you get a chance to plug where people can get your. Sorry, what was the name of the product you made?
It is the Blade Soul, and that is on my itch.io page.
Okay, cool. We'll also give you another chance to plug it at the end. Perram, you bringing Alex in?
And incoming Alex.
Oh my goodness, the boxes are shifting around. Hi, Alex. Oh, I cannot hear
Oh
Alex.
no. Alex? Yeah, we can't hear an
We
Alex.
still can't hear you. Check your settings. Just
Shut
do what
down
Michelle
Discord.
did.
Just shut Discord down completely.
Well,
Oh no. Why is this happening so often? It's got to
I
be something
don't
we can
know what's
solve.
happening to Alex. He's shifting dimensions.
I'm not responsible for any transdimensional nonsense, regardless of how I tapped into it earlier this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Doctor Strange. Still can't hear you, Alex.
Oh, this is sad because I was absolutely hoping he would talk about Kitsune of Galarian.
I want to know about that scarf. All right, Numbats 18 says, "What was the secret, Michelle? You seem to be the only one who managed this." Oh, sorry, I thought it was a serious question.
I'm actually curious. What happened?
Yeah.
How did this work? I've been using this software for weeks on my other podcast and never had a problem.
I checked to see what my microphone and headphones were set to, and I set them to the ones I wanted instead of leaving it on the default, and it worked.
Yay.
I mean, I have to assume everybody did that, and for whatever reason, you just.
I believe that everyone has done it. I'm not saying I'm the only one who did it. I'm just saying it worked when I did it.
I know. It's like
All right. Well, while we're waiting for Alex, so you came onto the network just I want to say 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think might have been 2. I think it was like October.
Yeah. All right. So that sounds about right. And we didn't really have like you didn't have the time for a blog. You didn't have we didn't have like a spot in the podcast for you yet. But I really just wanted to have you as a voice contributing to the direction of the network. And right away you came in and really changed the way we were handling Twitter. So from your point of view, how have you found being a staff member on the No Direction Network?
You know what? I have found it really valuable. Like just having, the voices of like all the voices that are here, all the folks who work with the network. as sort of I don't want to say a resource, but it's sort of a think tank, if you want to call it that. It's
Sure.
been, very, very nice. Everybody is so great to work with, and I really appreciate being able to. Does Alex have an epiphany? Did Alex?
No,
If
he
we
still can't
suddenly
hear you,
hear an
Alex.
Alex, we will pivot in that direction. But right now, he definitely needs a bailing out.
Well, yeah, like just being able to talk to everybody and like sort of see like the background, like the behind the scenes of the writing process and folks collaborating has been, really fantastic.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. It's like the worry, as like one of the directors of the network, is that we're paying everybody an exposure, like the thing you're not supposed to do. Nobody gets paid on the network. The hope is that by being a member of the network, you make the network stronger, and the network gives you a platform and helps you get your name out there. And I'm glad to hear that so far that seems to be working out.
Yeah. Especially just seeing like sort of the lead up to some of these articles and like seeing Hero Forge minis get sort of theory crafted it's very fun.
That's true. And this would be a great time to pivot over to Alex. Alex, say something.
I don't know. It's not
I hear you.
working.
Yeah.
How did
Wait, did you hear me?
Yes,
I didn't do
seriously,
anything.
can hear
I
you.
didn't do
invoked
anything.
Hero
happened?
Forge. That was the key. Invoking miniatures.
I literally didn't do anything from the last like 5 minutes. I don't even know. Time is an illusion. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello,
Michelle.
Alex.
You are literally magical when it comes to running this program somehow.
See,
You've
you
summoned
just-
Alex's audio.
You just needed to give a proper transition. There we
Yes, that was the problem. We didn't have a segue set up. It was just, here's Alex.
go. I got really sad. I've got this like great little scarf on.
It is
I was
a great
like,
scarf.
I can't talk about it. I can't talk.
All right, well, there's 3 things now we've already queued for you to talk about. The scarf.
Yeah, my scarf.
Kitsune of Galarian.
Okay.
And Hero Forge Tuesday. So where do you want to go first?
Let's start with Hero Forge Tuesday, since that was the transition that saved me.
All right, so you know what? I don't know how much we've even talked about this. What was your impetus to even start Hero Forge Tuesday?
So back when Hero Forge originally came out with like their color programming, I got really into it, and it was right around May 2020 when we started doing PaizoCon, and I was volunteering, trying to get everybody to where they needed to be for all their shows, like all the Paizo people. It was really stressful, so I needed to de-stress. And in order to de-stress, I was like, I'm just going to sit here and make these little minis because I can do this. It's something artsy and it's fast. And so I just started putting them up on my Twitter, and I forget who ended up seeing one at some point, and they were like, you should do this. And then I was like, all right. And so I pitched it to you in the scheduling channel, and then it just kind of happened.
Yeah, and at one point we wanted to do regular, like every day was going to be a different theme for our social media shares. And
Yeah.
Hero Forge Tuesday is the only thing that stuck. But it's really
Yes.
stuck. You've been doing it for over a year.
Yes. Wow. I've been doing it for a year now.
I'm pretty sure.
There was that many.
You're right. It was PaizoCon 2020. It's been more than a year. You're right. I guess I just didn't think about it. It's very fun. It's one of those things, if I'm not careful, it will get away from me. Like, it's very easy to just forget to do the mini. And I'm like, oh no, chaos. But luckily I'm pretty good at it. So like, unless I'm doing one of the No Direction Iconics, then I can make them quickly. But like for the No Direction Iconics, I have to actually like look at people and like figure them out. And that's hard. It's very difficult, especially with we have a bunch of people on the network who don't post pictures of themselves. Scott Young was really difficult to do because his picture was like completely black and white. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to guess here. Yeah.
And what was it that made you want to do the No Direction, the KD Iconics? Like that was just something that just one day you're like, I've decided to change the direction of the Hero Forge Tuesdays.
It's actually your fault.
Go on.
In a good way. Because what happened was I was looking for through Hero Forge Tuesday, and I saw that chainmail picture that Perram has up on the screen right now, and I was like, that looks exactly like Kale Anand's chainmail from Looking for Group. And every time I think of Kale Anand's chainmail, I think of your chainmail version of his shirt that you would run around and do conventions in at like Gen Con to promote Blind Ferret. And
should
so I was
totally have
like,
worn that today.
that's okay, you didn't know. But I went and I was like, all right, I'm going to use this as the baseline. I think I made you first, and then I made Perram, and then it just kind of kept going from there. Like, I think that first one is a bunch of my original.
Well, you've got the Alex one in there, which was one of the later ones. Did we lose Alex's audio?
Yeah, like we heard the
Oh
crack.
no!
We got you
it's
back.
using my headset instead of my Bluetooth. That's the secret. Oh no! All right, that's fine. Headset, you're earning your keep today. But yeah, I know I did Louise very early because they had just added like guns and gunslinger dusters and whatnot, and Louise was doing Valiant, which is a big gunslinging adventure set in Arcadia. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And so I kind of just did them based on how I was inspired. I didn't really do it in order of like seniority or anything. It just happened to be that shirt is what inspired me to start.
All right. Before we go on to, I guess we'll do Kitsune of Galarian next. So, Michelle, we got to bring in Dustin. So, thank you so much for casting a spell and solving some of our technical issues.
Oh my
and
gosh!
thank you
the
for
best.
everything you've been doing for us. I know it's only been a couple of months, but it really does feel like you fit right in. And
Yeah.
you've been a major contributor to the back end of the No Direction Network.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm just gonna cast a quick bless before I go.
Thank
You
you.
know how I love my cleric spells. And you all have a great rest of the show. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, before you go, is there anything you want to promote, or you just want to remind people where they can find the Blade Soul?
So I am Alesha Kills on Twitter and itch.io. That is ALESHAKILLS. If you go to my Twitter, the Blade Soul is the pinned tweet. If you go to my itch.io, there's only 2 things on it, and one of them is this. So either way, you're going to find it. Yeah, and there's the chat. Thank you so much, Perram.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Michelle. Hopefully, we'll see you on video again in the future.
Yeah, we gotta make that back end a front end.
Yeah.
All right. So while we do the transition, why don't you quickly tell us about the scarf?
Okay, so it's actually not a really great story. My mother has a friend at work who like knits, and she asked her to knit me this for Christmas, and I had no idea it was coming. I've never seen anything like it, but it's adorable.
Nate's
Oh, I
here,
thought-
but I thought
yeah.
Nate wasn't coming in until 9:30. I was
Sorry.
expecting Dustin.
Hi.
Hi, Nate. Hi, Nate. Dustin.
Oh,
If,
Well, good news, we
if-
can hear you.
Nate
If
was
that-
higher up
good.
in the queue.
if that's the only technical difficulty that Dustin and Nate have, that's a pretty okay technical difficulty.
yeah.
Listen, we're having a good time. We've lost a couple of guests, which is the downside, but that kind of thing,
Oh,
I'm perfectly okay with that. We've got Dustin here, Kitsune Warlock himself,
With the pipe
and
Hi.
someone who also worked on Kitsune of Galarian, right?
yep, that's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
All right, both of you, take over. Talk about it.
All right. So, did you really print that out?
Yes. Of course I did. I had to read it.
But
So little.
it's a digital product. You could have just, well, you know, that's cool. I'm happy that you
it's-
printed it.
There's so much cool stuff to read. It's a great read. I will read and reread it.
Okay, I'll take it. So basically, a long time ago, in the Aether, Owen once asked me, "Hey, Alex, if you were ever going to do a product, assuming you could do whatever you wanted in Galarian, what would you do?" And I said, "I have no idea, Owen. I like being able to do whatever I want. I wouldn't want to be locked down." And he goes, No, Alex. Surely there's something you would want to do." I was like, "Well, fine. If I did, I would want to do a product that gave the blood of angels treatment to Kitsune." One of the things in fantasy games that I'm not crazy about is usually what ends up happening is that humans get tons and tons of cool ethnic groups and lots of diversity because we understand human diversity better because we live with it. And you know, all the other ancestries don't get anything. It's just kind of like, all right, yeah, you're all goblins, and here's like 17 kinds of humans though. The only exception, of course, being Forgotten Realms, which has like 23 types of elves. Don't quote me on that number. It's probably more. I use that one a lot because my very first gaming group, my GM was huge into elves, not even really Forgotten Realms, just loved elves. And so we would have like every single type of elf. My first character, I think, was a sun elf.
Elves.
Yeah.
like
No,
elves a
elves are.
lot.
elves are fine. It's just there
Elves
was
are
so
fine.
many of them, and I'm like, wow, why don't we have this for everybody? Like, how is there like only like one type of half elf? They come from humans. We have got like a billion humans. So I'm really into doing this kind of stuff, and obviously I really like Kitsune. So like this has been on the top of my to-do list for a while, and then Infinite came out, and I was like, all right, sure. But Infinite got announced right around the time with a lot of the Paizo drama, and with the unfortunate stuff in September that came out. And so I sat there and I listened to what a lot of people were saying, and I was like, well, I could do this by myself. I definitely could do this by myself. But wouldn't it be way more interesting if I got a whole bunch of other people and I got them to do a Kitsune ethnicity tied to the place where their own ancestry is from, like that general correspondence. Galarian isn't a perfect one-to-one, but it's close enough. So the first person I approached was Joanne Hung. She's a former editor at Paizo, and I pitched this product idea to her. I was like, hey, I want to do Kitsune of Galarian. I'd like you to do Tian Sha since you're Korean American. And she was like, heck yeah, get me on board. Let's do this.
Nice.
And so I got Joanne's turnover.
Joanne? It's not Joan?
Isn't it Joanne? Yeah, her Twitter name is literally Joanne, not Joan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was referencing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's Alex critting the recall knowledge check.
I hope so, man. I hope I don't have dubious. I either crit the knowledge check or I have dubious knowledge as a failure. I just really failed. I'm so sorry if I failed, but so I went and I read through her turnover, and honestly, it's probably one of the best turnovers I've ever received in the history of Everybody Games. So I was like, all right, you have actually just set the formula for how we're going to do the rest of this product. And so then I went and I approached the other authors, Ruvaid, I think is how you say his name. I've never had to actually say it out loud. I apologize if I said it wrong, Ruvaid. And then Dustine, and then
Hey, at least you're not mispronouncing my last
And-
name. That happens way too often.
That's fair. And then Sky is our other person, and I had a couple other people that I asked, but the timing didn't work out for some of the other sections. But so we had Sky do Kitsune of Arcadia. She's from the Dakota tribes, as the indigenous people of this country or this land. I'm not sure how I should say that. I apologize in advance. And then Dustin did Aviston, and then we had Ruvaid do Casmaron, and all of the different authors had parts that were really tough for them to do. Like I'll let Dustin talk about what was hard for his, but for Joanne, she had to deal with the fact that like half of her word count had to be about ethnic groups that were in Lost Omen's ancestry guide already. Which is like you have to build with a lot of pre-existing Legos, so to speak. Where Ruvaid had the opposite problem. Literally, almost nothing has been published about Casmaran. So he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go off of what I know about the real world Pakistan and that region. So let's go for it." And then Sky was kind of like in the middle because I thought there was nothing written about Arcadia, and I'm super wrong because Guns and Gears has a giant section, like a huge section. Because it's like she gave me like this turnover. I was like, the Deadshot lands, is that really this place's name? Like, should we change this? And I cracked open my book. I asked Louise actually. I said, hey Louise, is this actually a place in Galarian? He's like, yes, I named it, and I'm like. So that's the story of how all of that got kept. But it's a pretty massive book. It's 47 pages long. There are ranging between 2 to 6 pages for each of the continents, depending on how prominent Kitsune are there. Like Tian Sha has a full 6, I believe. Aviston has 6 as well. Arcadia has like 4. The smallest ones are the Crown of the World and Garund. Garund only has 1 for Osirian. And then after that, I have articles for like player options for adjusting the mechanics in Lost Omens Guide, because one of the things I found doing a lot of research is that there are a lot of fans who weren't thrilled about specific ways that Ancestry was presented.
Do you even need to do that research? Like, that's your opinion as well.
It is my opinion. It's both. I confirmed my opinion by checking, and honestly, it was the kind of thing where I couldn't find anybody who said like, no, that's not true. Everyone was like, yeah, it is kind of annoying when you're in pest form and you just get worse. But you're right,
Yeah.
it is my opinion because I think I said that on one of our podcasts. Like I think I flat out said it during Troubles in Otari, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
an opinion that's out there with your name on it.
That's okay.
Mhm.
But so yeah, and then there's lots of other weird mechanical stuff, and then I did all of that, and I was ready to publish, and then I was like, oh, there's no article on Daikitsu here, and I don't know when they're going to do that, so let's do an article on Daikitsu, and then it was done.
All right. Nate, I know, is standing by. Let me just look at how the rest of my schedule looks. I think we can squeeze an extra minute of you, Alex, just because you kind of got, you got
I appreciate
technical difficulty.
Oh my god, so many technical
Definitely,
difficulties.
definitely.
All right, so Dustin, can you just take over from your point of view? How did that
sure,
go?
sure. I mean, I did the Rengo, the Angen, and the Silvertail from Varisia, Talden, and Taldor, and Numeria, respectively. And the Talden and the Varisian ones were from Ancestry Guide, but they had maybe 120 words to go off of, which was enough to totally expand upon. And they were really fun to write. But the Numerian ones were just all me. I mean, I kind of picked it because I knew very little about Numeria compared to the other places, and I really wanted to expand on that. And it was fun to approach it under the guise of, this is what makes Kitsune different from humans. How are they going to use that to fill niches in Numeria? Which then went to, oh, they could turn into tiny foxes. They could probably get into a bunch of these technological ruins that humans can't get into. What if they just stayed foxes all the time? Which was already kind of a meme from Pathfinder Society and whatever. So I'm like, I'm just going to roll with it. They stay in fox form like as long as they can.
With like laser gun backpacks.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You got
They have
tiny
they
fox
have,
laser backpacks.
yeah, exactly. They use a lot of alchemy. They use some technology. They use starstone, Kitsune star orbs that
You
hold
mean
their
star metal?
clients' memories. Yeah. I think my favorite running thing from that's just I'm so glad it got in the final book was they duel each other in fox form when they have arguments among the clans. So you'll see these two little foxes yapping at each other, and it's a totally serious traditional duel that you should take seriously.
All right, well, Dustin, we're going to pause you right there. Alex, we got to let you go. Why don't you let us know, where we can get Kitsune of Galarian, and let us know anything else you want to plug.
You can get Kitsune of Galarian on the www.pathfinderinfinite.com. It is currently still on the best selling for the Pathfinder series, and I think it's still in new. Pathfinder Infinite has been kind of slow these last couple months. Anything else that I'm doing? There's something that I'm doing and that I'm really excited about, but I can't say anything about it. So just keep an ear to the news that comes out from Paizo, because there is something and I'm really excited about it, but I can't say anything.
Wow.
All right.
You've got the number 1 slot right now with Kitsune of Galarian, and Luis has number 2 with Dragonkin.
Nice.
Yeah, no direction, sweeping Infinite. We got this.
And Venom and Lace episode 2 has just come out. Knock knock.
Mm-hmm.
Knock.
Yeah.
And then I think Dustin, I this is a pretty good transition for you. Didn't Starstone the Ascended get up pretty high?
Yeah. It got to number in the top 3 at whatever point. And
It's
is
currently
still
at
at
number
number
12.
9. Oh, it's 9 on mine.
Oh yeah, you're right. 9. Your other book is 12.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't I peace out and I'll let you tell Ryan and Perram all about Starstone the Ascended, about how great Hayori is at it.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, Perram can bring Nate in.
Yeah.
All right, later, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, Alex. Hello, Nate.
Hey, how's it going?
We're
Yeah,
pretty good. We're just
so-
going to let Dustin talk about infinite equipment, and then we'll
Yes.
we'll toss over to you. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
Dustin.
my second Infinite book was Starstone the Ascension. Just kind of something I've always wanted to do. I'm glad it got a great review a couple days ago. That makes me know that people are using it and enjoying it very much. It's a simulated trading card game based on the Harrow-based trading card game mentioned in Grand Bazaar. It's complete rules, multiple variants of those rules, decks you could print out in tons of different ways. There's decks that are full art. There's decks that have text on them. There are decks you could print on transparencies and put on existing hero cards if you've already bought the hero cards and want to use some sleeves. The games only take a couple minutes to play. It's really easy to learn, so a GM could incorporate it without having to pause the game and teach everybody how to play this mini game, which after playing in some Alex and I actually played some Starfinder where there was some tabletop games, and that was kind of a concern, is having two people play a game and the rest of the party just watch for 15 minutes. There was some problems with, and that's when we realized, okay, so you need to approach making a simulated tabletop game for a tabletop role-playing game with all new eyes. And then, of course, there's stats for how much a booster pack costs. There's a table for rolling random booster packs. There's costs for an illusionary disc to make holograms of the monsters appear while you fight, and whatever else have you.
Do you have like anything about like, you know, the wealthy class of people like completely buying up all the booster packs?
Oh, yeah, totally. That is totally a thing. I mean, that's a canon from the Grand Bazaar, is that there's some nobleman who wants to buy out all the best cards. And there have been the shopkeeper makes sure that there's always enough hero cards to go around for people to play with. There are lost cards beyond the hero cards you could get that have their own special effects and art and what have you, which players tend to value enough that they won't just trade them away or sell them. And there's some mystery behind why there are hero cards. There are cards that appear to have been made for this game thousands of years ago. There's that ancient Osirian duelist mentioned from Grand Bazaar and all of his unique cards. But I'm really happy with how it came out, and it's a lot of fun. Alex mentioned Hiyori, that's his character from my Where There's Smoke firefighting game, who is invested in the game. Alex actually ended up naming it on the fly in a role-playing game. He says, I play Starstone the Ascension, and my mind was like, that works perfect.
That is a perfect name. So good. Kudos to Alex for coming up with it.
Does that mean you can have your...
Listen, I got to pause here for a minute. We're going to bring Nate in. Hello, Nate. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Just, I got to say, now you can have your party meet in a friendly local gaming store instead of a tavern, and I love that.
Yes, exactly.
Not friendly for long once they start playing Starstone the Ascension.
Ooh, the barbarian rages and actually table flips. I love it.
Oh, Dustin, are there flipping the table rules?
No. I'm sorry. You just make an athletics check, set the DC to the level of the party you're at, and flip the table.
Well, Nate, thank you for joining us. This is your first time doing one of our holiday specials because you're one of our newer staff members. You came in a few months ago, started writing the Eldritch Excursion blog. So why don't you tell people about how that blog goes?
That's pretty good. It's kind of a variety blog that I just pour whatever comes out of my head. Just when I think, hey, what would be fun flavor, what would be fun mechanics. A lot of its ideas I've had bouncing around in my head after playing Society for a while, thinking, oh, here's fun flavor, but I can't do it, or, oh, Society rules don't allow it, or what kind of monstrosities could I unleash upon my home game?
You also came in swinging strong. I mean, your first one that was Heresy? And
Absolutely.
Like, oh, yeah, I'm so glad we brought Nate on.
Oh, no, I love playing weird stuff, monstrous stuff, aberrant stuff. Like, some of my favorite characters are those Vegeta types that are like, they could have been the big bad evil guy if things were slightly different. So, yeah, just bringing weird stuff to the table.
Yeah,
and
love your
a month
Oozmorph.
later, you
Love
presented...
the Oozmorph.
Yeah, the Oozmorph,
yeah.
exactly. You presented an entire versatile heritage as just free content for anyone that's interested. And I know that there were a lot of people interested in more Oozmorph.
Oh, yeah, I love the Oozmorph so much. Like, I'm a summoner stand to the end of my days, but my single favorite piece of content in Pathfinder is the first edition Oozmorph.
Oh,
it
wow.
basically replaces your race, it replaces your class because the archetype changes so much. It's something entirely different.
And it came out so late in the game.
Yeah.
I love the Oozmorph. It is my favorite prestige class without prereqs.
I
Exactly.
love oozes, so it made me so happy.
In fact, some of my best memories in society, when I made my first ooze morph, this was fun. I realized you could only be a person for like an hour, and that's not going to be good for mission briefings, not going to be good for being in town, even though most GMs would hand wave it. I'm like, no, I'm basically a monster. So every session, I'd start with like, oh yeah, when the party's getting together, a large barrel-chested man comes in with a barrel and a backpack and sets them down, and people think, oh, you're a barbarian. No. Hello, I am Sergey. Strange lady pay me to carry barrel. I have delivered barrel. Have nice day. And then he walks out. And then I say there's a note tied to the barrel in which I hand the table an actual note that just describes, hey, I'm Malsuza. How's it going? That's me in the barrel. Don't worry about it. I have air holes. Pour me out. I'm good in a fight.
Yes.
I get some good reactions out of that.
Excellent.
Mhm.
So, how was your 2021, professionally, personally?
Oh boy, like it was a roller coaster. I mean, in terms of the world around us, it played out like a low effort sequel, but at the same time, personally, it was definitely one of the wildest times. I got in the Mwangi Expanse, I got my first scenario out, had well, on a lower note, a loss in the family that, boy, still dealing with that. But it's okay. It's something I can handle. And also just getting a lot of stuff done and feeling better about myself and how things are going. And definitely enjoying these opportunities. Thanks again for letting me on the No Direction Network, by the way.
Sure. So,
Thank you for
has that been helpful for you? Have you been able to parlay the No Direction staff status into more opportunities?
I haven't done much with it yet, but honestly, it just feels good to have like something regular to look forward to. The writing, pushing myself to think of ideas. I think just having that consistent set of projects to just contribute to something, it's really good. Satisfying too.
Perram, can you let me know when Danielle is on
She
deck?
is ready.
She is ready? Okay, then sorry, Dustin, we're going to have to let you go. Man,
All
last
right.
year it felt like the 20 minutes was plenty of time, and I know tech issues have been eating at people's time this year, but I don't feel like we're giving anybody as much time as I want to give them. Dustin, quickly, plug anything you want to plug. Let people know where they can find you.
On Friday, come on Friday onto my stream, Twitch TV/Kitsune Warlock. I'll be reviewing all the Pathfinder Infinite products that were released this last year in a big New Year's special, as I do reviews every week. Bye,
Check
everyone.
out.
Thanks, Dustin.
I'm not letting Dustin leave before I say, Booster Bestiary is awesome. Check that out.
Yeah.
Now we have Danielle.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey.
Hello.
So Danielle is the host of Game Design Unboxed, our tabletop board gaming podcast. And Danielle is one of my best friends. How are you doing, Danielle?
I'm doing great. My
Yeah.
cat's also currently on my seat, so if you like see me do this, it's because she's digging her claws in. So for everybody, say hi to Nova.
Oh, hi,
Nova.
Nova.
That is our first
fan.
cat cameo on the episode, which is surprising considering how
Really?
many people we've had on the show so far.
I was gonna say I feel like I talk about my cat more than I should, and I probably every time I'm editing a podcast, one of the cats is on me. So
I liked in the episode that dropped today that your guest's cat jumped on her piano or something.
yep.
Yeah,
So
just in the
good.
middle of the episode, I was like, what was that? And luckily she explained.
I know. I was like, oh, how do I edit this? And I was like, oh, she explained we're good.
Yeah, it was a cute moment. I'm glad you didn't edit it out.
I know. It's adorable.
So, how are you doing? You got a couple of games on the shelf now. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm doing good. My first published tabletop game is officially out and can be found in Walgreens in the United States. So that's pretty exciting. And it's supposed to go to Barnes & Noble next year. And it's called No Filter, and it's a rainbow box, which I kind of wish I had had next to me, but I didn't think about it.
I have not had a chance to pick up or play No Filter yet, so that's something I can look forward to in the very near future.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect game for the holidays because it's really, let's be honest, there's not a way to win the game. You're more
Right.
just learning more about each other by asking questions and getting answers. And that's very much my own personality. So I love it.
So I have played games of that nature every now and then over the years, and they leave an impression. Like, they're games that I really enjoy, and I like that it's not a game where I have to shush my friends when they want to start telling a story or, you know, get into something that's of personal interest to them. It's actually the content of the game.
Oh yeah, no, I've learned some interesting facts about some of my friends and family members that I would never have known had I not made this game. So that's exciting.
So, Game Design Unboxed, how are you finding that going? It feels like your guests recognize you. You've really established yourself as a name in board gaming podcasts.
Yeah, it's going really well. I've been impressed with both myself and the episodes because some of the guests are just like these huge names in these big games that everyone's heard of, like Sagrada. I had Daryl Andrews on, and that was super fun. Or like Erica Boares was talking about like Bosk. And I have really enjoyed the variety of mechanics and themes and companies and just people in general that I've talked to, because selfishly, I started this podcast because one, I wanted to do a podcast, but two, I wanted to become a better designer, and it's made me a better designer. And I also just get to learn more about these cool games that I love. And I've heard just some like really cute stories. Like one of my favorite episodes was with Josh Wood, the cat lady episode.
Yes.
And so he had a couple come up to him and like ask him to sign one of the boxes because they were pregnant and they wanted a way to tell their like family. And so like he signed and like drew a picture, and it's just like you would never know that unless you listen to this podcast. So it's kind of cute learning those little adorable nuggets.
Yeah, one of the favorite things about the board gaming industry is that it's so much more like there's such a small gap between the designers and the audience. Like they really get out there. There's a lot of passion. A lot of people are doing the games that they specifically want to do, and then getting them published. And your show really highlights the entire journey, which just makes it a delight to listen to.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to in the new year?
I mean, more episodes. Hopefully have more games come out with my name on it, and sign a few more games would be lovely. And, you know, just like giving back to the community that I love so much.
Hey. How are you feeling about your No Direction Network status? Because you're not really even staff. It's weird to call you cast. You really are like your own little niche in our network.
I'm my own little island.
You are, and super happy to have you. I will have you as long as you are willing to be here with us. But you do stand out as like a person apart from the rest of us.
You know, I mean, I like it because I feel like I add a variety to your guys' network. I also have started to have like more RPG writers that are going to be appearing. So I'm trying to do a little crossover. So you're going to have an episode coming up talking about like the polymorph system by 9th level games, which will be interesting, I'm sure, for people listening. But yeah, you know, I'm happy that it was because of our friendship and connection I got on the network, if we're being honest here. But I think that it's nice that people have the ability to, if they want to learn more about tabletop games, they can bridge into that. Because like one of my best friends, Mason, he's an RPGer through and through. He didn't really start getting into games until it was me. And then he kind of realized there's a lot of crossover in there.
Awesome. So hopefully in the new year, when we're less Paizo game focused and we're going to be bringing in a more Essence 20 coverage, we're going to have a wider umbrella of what the No Direction Network is, and your place in it will like line up with the rest of the network's identity a little better.
Good, I'll invite more people to my island.
Danielle, Nate, Danielle.
Hi.
Hello.
How was your holidays?
It was good. Got adopted by some friends out on the East Coast. We played a crazy amount of board games, so it was pretty on brand for me. Yeah.
I do love, like, your Instagram is just constantly showing you playing games, and I love that so much.
I mean, you only learn more from playing more games. I get inspired from other people's designs and mechanics, and it's just really fun for me. Also, it's like a nice activity that gets me off of screens. That's why I like board games so much.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at screens.
I do too. Most of the designing process is on a screen, which is kind of annoying, honestly.
What were some of the highlights of the games that you played?
That's hard. I've played so many freaking games recently.
Oh, I meant over the holiday season.
We played a game called Grabwell, which is pretty cool. It's by Renegade Games.
Oh, I know Graham. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, the concept's interesting that it's like you're basing how your ship is moving off of where other people are placed. So it's like you're either propelling against them or towards them.
Well, isn't it? It's a race around a black hole, right? And it's about using the
You're basically trying to get out of it. Yeah, and it's so cool because you're also playing these cards, and depending on like the alphabet, so if you're closer to A, you're gonna go first. So you're kind of like pushing your luck, hoping that you're gonna like go in a certain order. So you're gonna hope that someone goes in front of you, so your repulsor beam will shoot you forward instead of backward. And so it can be frustrating, but it's like really fun, and it can fit a decent amount of players into the game because I have a lot of friends and I invite too many people to game night. So like having the games that have higher player counts is super useful for me. So I really enjoyed that one. I taught it to my friends yesterday.
All right, Danielle, we're just going to pause with you for a second because Nate's got to
Sure.
go soon. Nate, I feel like we barely scratched the surface of what we could have been talking about. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to promote? Where can people find you?
I mean, I can be found on Twitter at Roskman, ROSCMAN, same as Twitch if you're looking at that. I'm going to have a new Eldritch Excursion out pretty soon here. It was originally planned to be a gift article till things got slow, but it's going to look back at some of my older things and add some mechanics that I didn't quite have room to fit. So definitely look forward to a few callbacks and a way to say, I like what he wrote down. How can I bring it into my games?
Awesome. And we've got some products with your name on it coming in the future that you can't talk about yet?
Nothing yet, but soon, hopefully, and I'm super excited about that. And yeah, it'll be fun.
Awesome. Keep us posted. All right, take care. Happy holidays, man. And I assume Rob is on deck?
Rob!
Hey, everybody.
Rob's not on deck. Rob's here. Hey, Rob.
Hi.
Hello.
Danielle, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Danielle, Rob, Danielle.
Perram,
Rob,
I
this is the first
apologize.
time-
I did not see you at PAX Unplugged.
I know we got very close, but just kept missing.
Yeah, I missed a few people. I wish I could have had like 2 more days because it was just nonstop.
Yeah, it was crazy how packed it was while having less people.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I miss the kid element though, seeing kids that could react because most kids wouldn't be able to be vaccinated. So
Right.
seeing that kind of like elation from kids as they were going through and testing games, but you still see it in adults. So I guess it's not too different.
Did you also notice that like last few times it was like board games here, role playing game here, and this year it was role playing game here,
Oh, yeah,
board games
definitely.
here?
And I spent a lot of time in the role playing area, the actual like free play RPG,
Mm-hmm.
let alone going through the vendor hall and seeing a lot of RPG activity. And it just, I'm guessing that's because of COVID and people being at home and trying.
I can
out
answer some of
more
that too
RPGs.
for you.
Yes.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Inside
So I've
knowledge.
talked to a few different publishers that started with board game but have gone into RPG because of the shipping shenanigans that have been happening thanks to COVID. It's so much easier to
Yeah.
print in Canada or in the US RPGs, so they've switched focus onto that. So if you're trying to be an RPG writer, this is like the time to get in.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. I certainly want to hear about them because I want to try them out. So
And
But I guess also, like on that note, there's a lot more digital products when it comes to RPGs. Like they're a lot more accepted, whereas a print and play board game has a bit of a stigma. It has like a unpolished game reputation. Whereas
Yeah.
RPGs, if it's a PDF of an RPG, it is just as well respected as a hardcover that you have at your table.
yeah,
And it's
easier to
so-
pick up, share, and people try them out.
Mhm.
and it's a lot easier to have something closer to the normal experience or the traditional experience of playing a role-playing game online than it is some of the board games. Like Tabletop Simulator goes a long way to keeping my
Yeah.
board game itch scratched, but like, you know, just chatting with each other and seeing what the dice rolls is something you can do over Skype.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did a lot of Discord gaming the last year and a half.
How much gaming do you
Same.
do?
A fair amount. I have a few different games going right now. I've got like an every other week Monster Heart game I'm still playing, especially after getting into Monster Hearts last year. The years blend together now. And then I'm trying out some 5e now, and I run a Pathfinder 2e game, let alone the Pathfinder 2e podcast we have here for No Direction with Valiant and for Roll for Combat. I've got 3-Ring Adventure with Steven and Lauren, Rob and Vanessa. So I've got a fair amount of games. They're not every week. They're like every other week, so it allows me to change them up and try new things still.
So when it comes to role-playing games, you and I have a very different approach because I tend to get invested in the one game.
Yeah.
And try and get as many games of that one system in as possible. Whereas you, I cannot even imagine how you fit so much reading of the role-playing games in and then playing them and getting like, you fully digest these games.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
I've got a
an
new
idea.
one to try called Emberwind, which has apparently been out a little while, but it can be GM-less. And I picked it up at PAX Unplugged after talking to, I have notes, Omnivore Games about it. So because I really want to try that. It has rules for if you want to play with the GM too, but I really like that opportunity to get like everyone involved. I did a few of those games last year, like For the Honor, which is very in the vein of Shiro, which was a lot of fun too. So I like those GM-less games because it's very collaborative and easy to do over Discord and Skype and Google Hangouts, whatever it is.
I don't even know if there is a Google Hangouts anymore.
Well, now it's like Google Chat something. I can't keep up.
I think it's Google Meets. I'm pretty sure that's the links that you used to send to people for work. Yeah.
Google is not interested in society. They're interested in technology and information. They have never done well with social networks.
No, they had something years ago that fell apart. I don't remember what it was called.
Was it just Google Plus?
Yeah.
No, it was like before that. It was some other.
There's like a networking thing where you got to choose, like almost like when you have your 5 back in the day when you had like a flip phone or whatever. Yeah, it felt like that. I don't remember what it was called either though.
Google has like the serial killer's backyards of retired products.
Yeah. Well, it's because their Google Labs really encourages.
Lava Being is saying Wave? Google Wave?
Yes, Wave.
Thank you, Lava Being.
It encouraged like some of their developers to take time, which I'm fully supportive of. Take some time, do some innovation, and then if everyone's like into it, they start to share it out. So, which is really cool. It just means a lot of things tend to come up and then disappear.
How has Valiant been for you?
Great. I love Valiant. I love all the characters. I love Eva Tuer. I love Luis. Luis is a very kind GM. But being able to explore Arcadia is really exciting for me. And having Luis being the one taking us through Arcadia is even better. So I really enjoy that just from an opportunity perspective, let alone playing with Owen, playing with Avi, playing with Jess. Like, I get, the pretender syndrome. Like, well, how did I get in here? I'm very lucky that way.
So during the episodes, Luis will have his GMing corner. I don't know if you listened to the episodes, but I'm curious if, like, when he's reflecting on the wacky things his players have put him through, if you ever see yourself in some of the stories that he's talking about.
I do, and I only listen to some of them, and I have a hard time listening to myself. But I will check in what Luis is saying because I'm interested to see what his we don't get in the middle of the game his reflection usually. So being able to have that afterwards, like, oh, they wouldn't even ask this guy questions, this skeleton that said I'll answer questions. Well, we were afraid to waste our one question.
Yep. You didn't have one question.
Turns
you
out
made up that you had one
anyway.
question, and then we're obsessed with it.
Right, exactly. And it makes for, a fun time. I often think of Critical Role becoming obsessed with a chair in last campaign. Spoilers for anyone's watching campaign 2.
Well, I don't know where to go from here. How's your year been otherwise?
Good. Very busy. I'm in the web world, so professionally, it's been busy. But I've been able to try a lot of games, I'm really thankful for being able to get involved with games here and Roll for Combat, Gehenna Gaming. I'm going to do some stuff with Gehenna Gaming next year. Carrying Comfort, which will be really exciting. Yeah, see, I'm not the chair, right? And I'm glad that and feel privileged that I could have the career that I could step away from and just be able to dive into gaming with lots of cool people and explore lots of different games, like being able to try For the Honor. I watched all of the She-Ra show, loved it, and I'm an original He-Man and She-Ra fan, and then being able to try For the Honor, which Natalie from Charm Pressing Games ran, was just awesome. Simply awesome.
Have you, when you were at PAX, did you check out, this is one I'm curious about you and Danielle, did you all check out Final Girl?
I did not get. I have a lot of friends who did, but I did not get to.
Mm.
Because you were talking about GM-less games, and this is a one-player board game. And so I was curious about your thoughts on. It's a
Couple
board
different
game,
buckets.
very well developed. You play it by yourself.
Mm.
Solo
Yeah,
gaming has become a thing.
I think especially, I'm free at home. I got nothing else to do, nowhere to go. I could settle into a game. I did finally get to play the Leverage RPG, which is very old, but I'm a huge Leverage fan. And I even reached out to Margaret Weiss Productions and talked to them, and apparently they can't sell it right now because of licensing. But so I'm going through back channels to try and encourage a licensing deal to happen again, especially with the new show out. Like, hey, get this back out there. People want to play it.
Yeah, it's such a good
really
game.
want to play
too.
some Leverage.
I do. It
Wow.
was so much fun, and I would like to be able to support them and buy the books from them because you can't get the books out there.
They
You
at
can't
least
get
do
them on
digital?
Drive-Thru RPG.
I remember buying that game my very first Gen Con.
Wow.
Wow.
Is Leverage that old?
Yeah,
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 it's
it
been around.
is.
But there's a new show from IMDb TV that you can watch for free on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
Not
But
sponsored.
it's
No one pays
several
me to
members of the original cast too, right?
Yeah, it's a continuation.
Cool.
Mostly original cast. There's some changes, there's some surprises, but it's good.
Surprises.
It's good. It's really good. I encourage you to check it out if you're a fan of the show. If you're not a fan of the show, watch it anyway.
Oh, yes,
Nice.
sir.
Yeah, it's a good time. And sometimes it feels, I think, topical and things we see in the news, which makes you feel good, I feel, anyway.
So had you told me to watch it like 6 months ago, when it felt like there was nothing new, I would have definitely been dying for it. But then in the last month, it's like all the streaming stations decided now is the time to release their biggest new shows. And like, I was planning on watching Cowboy Bebop, and it was canceled before I was anywhere near getting that far into my queue. And like, as things like The Witcher season 2 came out and Book of Boba Fett just came out today, like there's so much stuff, and it feels like Cowboy Bebop was now 2 years ago, but it was really like November, I think.
I feel that way about games. There's so many cool games coming out that I can't test them all, try them all, play them all in time.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, we try.
All of them.
Adam from Order of the Amber Die talked to me about this once, how you have to think when you're playing like a campaign with your group of friends or, even strangers, if you're pulling a group together anew, how many campaigns can you play in your lifetime with your free time? Like, where are you choosing to invest your time? What do you want to do? What do you want to take your friends through? And I really took that to heart to think about, like, what kind of games do we want to be playing? What kind of things do we want to explore in our games? So, and I try to think about that from a community perspective too.
But your answer seems to have been all of them.
Yes. Well, it helps because I write about them too, so it's fun. I try to get into one shots. Thankfully, conventions help there too. Just seeing and exploring what I can try out.
Love being saying retirement communities in 30 years are going to be grinding tabletop. And
I will be
Hope
one of those
so.
people running those games.
All right, Danielle, it's time for us to let you go. So before you do, is there anything you want to promote? Anything that, where can people find you online?
Sure. Yeah, you can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at Token Gamer, and that's gamer like Gaymer. And besides that, check out my game No Filter and look around for my name in the future. I'm sure I'll have some games coming out that I can talk about.
Keep us posted. And
Sounds good.
I'll see you around.
Bye, guys.
Pleasure, Danielle.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
All right. So who's next, Ryan?
Should be Jason. Is he on deck?
Yes.
Yes. Ooh. Some nice melodious
Hello.
music. Hello.
Hey, Jason.
Oh, yes.
Official
Hi
Ghost
there.
Lab.
Oh, yeah,
All
that's
right.
the official Ghost Lab. Do not
they-
keep out.
Are they friendly
Do not
ghosts?
keep out.
Do not keep out. Yeah, I thought I said do not keep out.
That's I want to welcome Matt that says do not keep out.
Do not keep out. Come on. Come on.
Oh, it should have just said come in. What
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
How you doing, Jason?
Hey, I'm all right. How y'all doing? I just finished running a game. So I'm,
Cool.
I'm,
Well,
I'm
nice.
on.
You
I'm
feeling
on
the
right
energy? Yeah.
I'm feeling the energy, yeah.
Well, thank you for
It's
taking
always
some time out for us.
Oh, you're welcome. I was say it's always a good idea to have a seance in the front yard of a burnt out church in a small New England town in the 1920s. Always a good idea.
That's how you've been spending your time.
I don't advise that in real life here in Rhode Island.
Fair enough. Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. How are you all doing?
Much better than
You're the first person to ask that. Thank you.
Oh,
I'm
am
doing
I?
great.
You've been on for like 2 hours now, haven't you?
We have. There was
No
a lot of
one's-
technical issues, so unfortunately we
Oh.
lost like half our guests.
Oh,
Yeah, but luckily
sorry.
they've smoothed out since Michelle came on, and like it seemed like she cast a spell that got Alex to work because he was in the middle of trying to get his mic to work. It wasn't working, and she made the perfect segue into an Alex segment, and suddenly his mic worked, and everyone's been fine since.
Wonderful.
Oh, very good. Awesome. Nice.
So you've had a big year, Jason. It feels like you've had, I want to say, 12 adventures with your names on it.
Have I? I don't know anymore. I can't tell time at all. Because I was going to write these things like so far in advance that I don't really remember when they actually come out.
Well, it feels like a pattern lately has been an adventure is announced. I think, oh, that sounds interesting and fun, and then written by Jason Keeley.
All right, I love it. Yeah, I grabbed some special things here if I wanted to really plug myself, but I'm mostly very much I'm excited about all of it, obviously, but like I'm really kind of thrilled about having the first Starfinder module with my name on it, and just be like, yeah, okay. Now I've ticked off a number of boxes at this point that I've had wanted since I came out here to Seattle and joined Paizo, started freelancing for them as well, and be like, oh, I want to have my name on an adventure path. I want to do a module. I want to do all this good stuff. So I'm happy about all that.
Living the
Is
dream.
there anything left on that list?
Not really. I mean, unless we start. Comic book maybe. Comic book.
Ooh.
Yeah.
As artist or writer?
Oh, writer. I can't draw.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know
terrible.
you.
I'm not gonna assume about any of our crew.
No,
They're
that's
all
fair.
amazingly
Yeah, you never
That's fair.
know, right? People have all kinds of talents. You
Yeah,
could have been
no, I'm-
exploring in the last year.
I did not draw the sign, so you can see
Not even-
that's not my talent. I'm worse than that. So basically, then that's a really good ghost, very good circle ghosts.
How are things in the Star Chamber lately?
We're good. We're it's been I guess over a year and a half where we've all been working from home, so I only get to see them
The virtual
infrequently
Star
and on the camera. So there's no real Star Chamber so much anymore. We've had a couple when it was a little safer. We had a couple. We had a pizza lunch together at one point, and so we hanging out and chilling. So, but I think everyone's doing okay. Yeah, and we're excited about all the stuff that's gonna come out. Keep coming out. I was reading. I saw like an article. It was like 10 great RPG products that release this year, and Galaxy Exploration Manual was on there, and I was like, did that come out this year? Didn't it come out 3 years ago? Because again, time is just a blur.
Jim was awesome, but wow,
Yes, Jim
it
was
does seem like a last year book.
Doesn't it? And I think it only came out like 3 months ago or something, or maybe in the spring. I don't know. It's weird.
Time has lost all meaning.
Time has lost all meaning. So I don't even know. When I finish up a project that I'm working on, I just let it go out. Just put it on a boat, push it out to sea, and just hope I'll hear about it someday in the future.
And I know you got a book coming out with a class that just got. I'm sorry, I'm never as up on Starfinder as I should be. But there was a class that was just recently play tested, right? And
yes,
the precog.
Nope,
I'm
no.
wrong.
Yes, that was the previous one.
Okay.
Which that book came out.
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Oh no, it's not. It hasn't come out yet. Sorry. No, it comes out in. It got pushed. It got pushed to January. It comes out very soon. The Galactic Magic with the precog comes out very soon. Very excited about that. I think I've done look through that. Look through the proofs of that, and it looks really good. A lot of good spells and other things, as you would hope in a magic book, right? But then we finished up the playtest for the Evolutionist.
That's it. Yes.
which is in the next, well, not the next book, but the next book with a class in it.
And somewhere along the lines, you've got Drift Crisis, and I know often we'll see a Starfinder influence on the direction that Pathfinder is going. This feels like the first time that Pathfinder 2e, the way they're handling, doing a lot more setting-focused hardcovers, that it's influencing the Starfinder direction. Is that what happened there?
We wanted to do something that was different, actually, more because this is kind of an event book more than it is a setting book.
Okay.
So it does wish we're presenting something that's going to affect the setting, and we're going to have a lot of good tie-ins. We're going to have 2 3-part adventure pass. We're going to have at least one of those digital one-shots, and we're going to do probably a module. And that kind of stuff. So map to go along with it. So with all that, we're looking to talk about the altering, having something that takes place throughout the setting that we can all relate to, and you can say, oh, and here's all the tools that if you want to do that in your own campaign, even if you don't use our adventures, here's 10, 20, adventure seeds that you can use as you see fit. And so we're presenting a lot of like possibilities for the way this begins and the way it ends and what happens in the middle. So it's more of a toolbox. And then there's a whole bunch of character options in there too for related things.
I always appreciate stuff like that as a GM that you can kind of like pick and put together, especially depending on how your players react.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's going to be good. We're tinkering with the drift, and we're saying, so, basically it's gone all wonky, and how do you fix it, and what happens to it, and what that means for a while, and then we'll see eventually an effect on the setting as a whole.
When you started that sentence with "the drift has gone" or "he's gone," I was like, "Wait, this is much bigger than I thought."
It's gone. It goes away for like a real brief period of time, and then it comes back, but it's kind of busted.
Sure, it goes off to college, comes back, and it's like,
yeah, it's gone to find itself, become an influencer, and everyone's just really like, oh, is this what you're gonna do with your degree? And
I waited 5 whole years after college before becoming an influencer.
I mean, the career paths have shortened since then.
Fair enough.
It was we didn't have the word influencer when we started.
No.
That's true.
We barely had the word podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, no, we still had iPods, which is
we
why
were literally one of the
for those
first
people who may not know that.
Nice.
Ryan, have you mentioned yet about this?
This is my last episode as a host of No Direction. Yeah, it came up early on. Oh, I don't think Jason know this.
I missed the beginning.
Yeah, and you didn't spit. You had the chance, Jason.
I'm not going to spit on my computer.
Especially not now. You can't replace them.
I went off to the side. There, I did it. You didn't even see it. Classic spit take.
You almost pushed it was mentioned, but it hasn't been back months, Ryan.
So
this
is for anyone else doesn't know. Yes, this is my last episode as co-host of No Direction. I'll be moving on. Perram and I will be launching Upshift, the Essence 20, the No Direction Network's Essence 20 news, previews, and interviews podcast based on Renegade Games' new Essence 20 system, which runs Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, which I co-authored, and Transformers. And so, in case you don't know, I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. I'm a big fan of 80s properties in general. And so this is a dream come true, both as a product I would want to buy and as a project that I got to work on. And I'm super excited to have an entire podcast dedicated to that. And unfortunately, like I just told Rob, I only have time for one role-playing game in my life. And that also applies to the podcasts that support them. So I'll continue to play Pathfinder, but unfortunately, I don't have time in my life to dedicate to staying on top of the news, reviewing the books before they even come out. Like that, it's a process. And unfortunately, I don't have time for the process anymore.
But thank you for doing so.
Y'all make so many books that it is a significant job just reading them all and then informing the audience about them.
I can't even keep up. Like, what I do, I want to read other things occasionally, like actual books and fiction and stuff, and look at other games sometimes. But I totally get it.
We have mentioned that Adventurous looks like it will be coming back and will probably shift over to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So I will still be involved in Pathfinder 2nd Edition content on the No Direction Network. Jason, looks like you'll
That's
be
great.
there.
Yes.
I hope so.
Yeah,
It would be adventures without Jason.
No, not a chance.
But you started it without me.
Yes,
So-
and then things changed.
And then things change. No, indeed. No, I'm excited always to
Continuous
to get back.
improvement.
I mean,
Well done. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you're
feel
welcome.
bad for what you're saying about the cast members that have left the show, but I do definitely.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
Well, they went out and they're going to come back from college as influencers or something.
Speaking of going out, Rob, it looks like you are out of time. So before you go, what would you like to plug? Try and keep it to a short list because I know you're excited.
I'll just say one, thank you for having me, Ryan. Thank you.
Absolutely,
for your
Rob. This is
guidance,
the first
both
time we've
personal
spoken.
and professional. I will say you can find me on Twitter as Silent Infinity. I'm there on Instagram too. Watch for more investing in. You'll see things from Emberwind. I might have been chatting up a game designer for the new Hero Quest as well. I'll be talking about PAX Unplugged and more from Paizo, of course. And look for me for new things on Gehenna Gaming and Carrying Comfort and beyond. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
Bye, Rob.
All right. Who's next?
Luis is on deck. Or Luis
Luis.
should be on deck. Luis, there we go.
Luis,
Hello.
the new host of No Direction, Luis Loza.
Hi there.
Oh, this is. I'm hearing so many noises.
Yeah,
Noises.
Luis, Jason, Luis.
Yes.
Oh yes, hello.
Hello.
So now,
Um,
Luis, you warned us that you are not from the most reliable place to be broadcasting. So hopefully, like for all the tech issues we've had tonight, hopefully that you remain stable and we get at least the 20-minute block that we carved out for you.
I hope I remain stable, whether or not internet is giving me issues, you know. Yeah, hello. Happy KD-mas or Merry KD days. I don't know.
Merry KD days. Nailed it. So how are you doing?
I'm well. I'm enjoying time with family and getting some freelance stuff and watching a bunch of TV.
So as much as I want to ask you what you're watching, I do want to compliment you on your output of content. Amazes me. Just the amount of freelance you can handle, all the titles that have had your name on them that came out this year, and some of them are very good.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, I have this weird thing in my head where I decided I'm going to contribute to every Pathfinder 2e rulebook.
Wow.
Full stop. So that means I end up taking a freelance. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'll take 2 pages. And then that counts. But a lot of the times it's like, well, automatons, you say. And then I do a whole big thing.
Oh, gosh. I forgot you were automatons because you've done so much else awesome. But of course you were automatons.
Yeah.
So I've been saying Pathfinder 2e had an incredible year, and you really do have a lot to like.
Yes.
A lot of credit is owed to you for that. So just from your point of view, how has this year been?
It's been jam-packed.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot of stuff. I heard you talking earlier about Time's unknowing state right now and how, Gem was this year. Put it in perspective, Ancestry Guide was also this year.
Yeah.
And Ancestry Guide itself was basically like a whole year's worth of content, it feels, in terms of like new stuff you can do with characters. Plus Grand Bazaar, plus all the other things that are going on. Just it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and I think a lot of people really value getting to do a lot of new stuff with the system so early on in its lifetime, I think.
Well, and also you've got Mwangi Expanse, which was a majorly impactful book, probably my book of the year, but also it was twice the size of the majority of the Lost Omens books. So it's like you put out a whole extra book just with Mwangi Expanse.
We put out like 3 extra books this year when you think about that. So that's 2 extra books tacked on with just Mwangi Expanse, and then we also got Absalom to come out this year. which was another 4 books on its own.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's I'm kind of glad our schedule has now caught up and we have all our Lost Omens books out when they need to be out. We're no longer waiting on Absalom to be out and stuff. And we're gonna take a break. Actually, I think we don't have any book for the Lost Omens line until April. We intentionally kind of plucked out our first quarter.
That doesn't
book.
sound like all that long of a break.
It isn't,
the
but
normal release schedule.
You know what? 3 months to stabilize and kind of get things back in order. It really helps.
Like, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna get a pizza, and then we're gonna get back to work.
Yep, basically.
So the book coming out in April is Knights of Last Wall.
Knights of Last Wall. Hey, we have to say Ryan contributed to that book.
I did. It was
Hey.
a fun book to contribute to.
You're not leaving Pathfinder 2E that easily.
I'm not leaving Pathfinder 2E at all. I'm leaving the No Direction podcast as a host, but we'll continue to do. I'm barely going anywhere. You'll still see me on a regular basis.
On the same day.
Ryan,
You're
I'm gonna miss
starting on
you.
Wednesdays.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm gonna miss you so much, Ryan.
Oh,
We're never gonna see each other again. When you're gonna be unreachable, and we're never gonna talk again. And I feel sad about that.
I'm just so reachable.
I'm just gonna act as if you're traveling across the ocean to live with the elves for the rest of your lives.
Yeah, he's
And
gonna
we'll never see you again.
head to the west.
All right. Well, I think people will be surprised how little changes.
Yes, but it's
With the
fun
Direction
to be
Network.
so dramatic. And
All right,
Yeah.
fine. Be dramatic.
It helps with the numbers. I need the analytics to go up, Ryan.
Wait. What? Are you saying you got to kill me off for the big dramatic season finale?
I'm saying I'm
Indeed.
clickbaiting this episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll never believe what Ryan does next. This one weird trick.
It's gonna just be your face, and this is goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No!
I know.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's gonna take 2 people to fill your shoes, I think speaks volumes about how big of a deal it is that you're leaving.
Well, thank you. I will stop fighting this and just say thank you. Perram, do we have our next guest on deck? I know that she
do.
said that she might not.
Maybe, depending on
Maybe?
the connection, but it
All
is. It looks like I can push the button.
Okay, so Jason, we're not going to get you to leave just yet, just because I think you'll want to say hi.
Yeah, if I know who this is, I just said hi in person a couple days ago.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nice.
We dropped off some cookies,
Yay.
some pre Crimbo cookies, and got a couple baguettes in return. It was a good exchange. I'll tell you that much.
All right. So I'm happy to bring on.
I could be wrong. What if it's not who I think it is?
Yeah.
I'm happy to bring on the best GM I've ever played under, Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
Jason, thank God you're here. My twin sister is in town. She's been handing out poison baguettes. Have you seen anybody?
I ate a whole one of those practically by myself.
Well, no.
Well, I guess goodbye.
It's okay. It's slow acting.
Oh, good.
You'll linger for days.
It'll take me another 50 years to die, right?
So, hi,
Crystal, I've
everybody.
missed you. Hi.
Crystal.
How are you
Louise,
doing?
it's good to see you. I've missed you so much.
Hello, Crystal. I hope you're doing well. I've missed you too.
Aw.
Well, Crystal, I know you've gotten into 3D printing in a big way.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I'd say in a big way. I own a 3D printer now, and I keep bugging Perram to tell me how to fix my problems.
Honestly, no, it's been so fun talking, getting to geek out about 3D printing with you, and like, oh look, they've got a pepperoni. We can print a pepperoni.
I still haven't. Yeah. So those who haven't followed my personal drama, I bought my first 3D resin printer. Well, my wife got me my first FDM filament printer a few years ago, but we've never managed to get a solid print off of it. We've never calibrated it correctly.
Those old, like that doesn't even count against you. Back then, putting a 3D printer was like trying to attract meteors from space with Ritcraft and hoping it melted correctly.
But anyway, I ordered my very first 3D printer, and it's wonderful, except it's got a manufacturing defect, so I can't print more than like 2 or 3 minis at a time. if I try to do anything like a statuette or terrain, it warps badly and the print fails.
Yeah, the
no.
print bed is broken and it is sadness.
So the manufacturer was very nice. They were sending me replacement parts to fix the problem free of charge. No, not even charging for shipping. But it also means that I'm stuck printing like tiny minis until that comes in. So I still haven't printed pepperoni.
You need pepperoni to be this big.
Yeah, my print bed is like this big, so that's how big pepperoni's going to be.
When we say pepperoni, what are we talking about?
Pepperoni is an adorable baby Ceratops from the new Ninja Turtles comic books.
Oh, okay.
She's Raphael's pet dinosaur.
Nice. Oh, I am very behind.
And she wears an adorable little parka. Not the statuette. The statuette does not have the parka, which is really to the statuette's discredit.
No, I'm not surprised this is Ninja Turtles related, but I thought you were printing out like a pepperoni stick as an accessory for Ninja Turtles action figure.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't have to because I have tiny dollhouse versions of pepperoni.
Oh, smart.
That I use for. Aww. So yeah,
I like
that's
the
pepperoni.
pizza base too.
Oh yeah, pepperoni goes on a pizza.
Look at that.
All right. Well, on top of the 3D printing that you've gotten into, you have gotten into comics as a writer in a big way in the last year, and that's been very exciting.
Is awesome.
It's been kind of exciting. I did not. I mean, I've been wanting to write comics since I was a kid, but I did not expect that to take off all of a sudden. So yeah, I've been writing for Marvel Comics and for Oni Publishing. And, this is exciting. I keep telling everybody I write a very serious horror-based action comic aimed at adults in their mid-20s. And I write a cutesy, all about the feelings, gay romance aimed at teenage girls. And only in one of those am I allowed to swear.
Yeah, I got Cheer Up. I pre-ordered it. I apparently got it before release, so I was one of the first people, in the general public to get it. And I read it with Scarlett a couple of times back to back as a bedtime story, and she was really engaged with the story, and I believe asking the right questions, and I hope I was answering them at all properly.
Well, if it helps, Oni Press has released a study guide for parents and educators who want to talk about it. So
check that out. I didn't know.
I would check out their website.
Cool. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is basically what I've always wanted to do with my life, where I tell stories to help humanize minorities and develop empathy.
And let's talk about She-Hulk.
I wrote one She-Hulk story, which
I know,
is a dream come true, but
it also it aligned with your goals of humanizing minorities, and when you were explaining to me, because I have not found a copy of it locally, unfortunately, and I really should just buy it online. But yeah, like the heart of the story really affected me when you were explaining how it went.
Yeah. Well, I contributed to Marvel's Voices collection back in, oh gosh, when did this come out? I think it was June. This has been a very long year. But I wrote a little 8-page She-Hulk story that was supposed to be published like sometime last year, but then, life happened. But it's kind of drawn from my own experience growing up about it's a story where Titania runs into She-Hulk in the subway and tries to kill her, and She-Hulk is freaking out. She's not defending herself. She's not using her super strength. She just throws halal chicken in the supervillain's face and tries to bolt. And then you find out 3 pages in, is it spoilers for a book that came out 6 months ago?
You wrote it. You decide.
Spoiler alert. It's a Jennifer, but it is not Jennifer Walters. It is a girl named Jennifer Harris who is transgender and is cosplaying She-Hulk for a big Comic-Con that's in New York. So, and it's talking about how, when she was growing up, she hit puberty and she ended up tall and kind of muscular, and she thought, I'm never going to look like I'm never going to look like a woman. I'm never going to feel beautiful. And then she sort of discovered She-Hulk, and here was this woman who was tall and buff and had a sense of humor, and everyone adored her for it. And she was, these were all things that people were proud of and happy about. And it's, a character where she could kind of invest some of herself into her. She was goals. And so that's taken from my own life. And everybody is frozen on screen. Have I frozen up and disconnected?
You were captivated. Sorry.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
Oh, wait. Are we still frozen for you?
No, we still have a crystal.
Oh, yeah. I'm only getting garbled text or garbled voice from everyone.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm hearing the no's.
Now.
Oh. How about?
Oh, good. You guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Type your question. Well, okay. I can hear you again. Sorry, we've been having very bad internet issues the last couple days out here. We're in a cold little snowed-in valley.
Yeah, it's been weird the last, I guess, 2 or 3 years as a Montrealer watching everyone else get our winter. Like, it's been really pleasant here for the last couple of years, and I
we
feel
could tell
really
you
bad.
stories about Seattle snow because it's not like Midwestern snow. Seattle hovers right around the freeze line, so it goes it gets warm enough to thaw a little during the day and then freezes again overnight. So it looks like snow, but it's actually packed ice. And all of Seattle is built on a 30-degree angle. I don't know why, some kind of religious thing when the city was founded.
Like, for real? Because Montreal has a cross on the hill for religious reasons, because you could not build a building taller than the highest cross. And so we just put a cross at the highest point in the city.
No, not for religious reasons.
Okay.
Just terrain reasons. Seattle was originally built under a cliff, and then they realized building on a floodplain was a dumb idea, so they terraformed the cliff into a 30-degree slope. So now all of Seattle is built on a steep hill.
So you mean that didn't solve all the problems?
Somehow, no. So yeah, when it freezes here, we watch the bumper cars go down the hill.
Or sometimes a bumper bus.
Yeah, that was a scary one.
So, Crystal, I haven't really heard much. Like, what have you? Are you still in the gaming industry, or have you really completely moved over to comics?
No, I am actually currently writing video games.
Ooh,
nice.
I've been working as a contractor in video games for about 2 years, but being a contractor, I don't have huge influential roles. I mostly come in at the tail end of a project when everything's late and fill in a bunch of things like enemy barks and lore books and things like that. Or I come in at the very beginning of a project and help with the development team to, build up the world and do sensitivity reads on queer characters and female characters.
Is there any games that you could talk about that you quite enjoy? That you work on?
It's. Wait, let me make sure that it's
quick
down before I say
anything.
Okay, yeah. Hi, I did a sensitivity read for Dragon Age 4.
Nice.
Wow.
Congratulations.
I did some of that initial
I love Dragon
development
Age.
work. Yeah,
Nice.
I like it too. So
Also, you're
yeah.
uniquely qualified to do that, considering you've worked on Dragon Age.
Yeah, I love Dragon Age. I helped develop the Dragon Age role-playing game. I've met Patrick Weeks a couple of times at conventions, and yeah.
So you mentioned that you're writing NPC barks in a post, after Skyrim, where a lot of the barks became memes. Is it encouraged to be as clever as possible, or fade to the background as much as possible?
I mean, every studio is different. The big thing I've learned in the last 2 years is every studio operates by industry standard, but no two studios agree what industry standard is. So some people want very clever barks. Some people want, just arg, get him, things like that. Mostly they want a mix of, these guys are generic, and if you try to be, the other big thing I've learned is if you try to be clever, what comes across as clever once sounds really annoying the 30th time a player's heard it. So you tone down the clever. Unless it's like, a boss fight or something, then, go nuts.
Jason, sorry, I know we kept you on just because I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to say hi to Crystal, but you're past your commitment, so I just want to make sure that we're not keeping you from anything.
I mean, I'm gonna
sorry,
eat
I've been
dinner
hogging
soon.
this.
No. I had some my own time, and I'm hearing all the good Crystal news. So cool. Maybe I'll go get some food though.
Okay.
If that's okay with everybody.
That is okay. Why don't you plug anything that you want to plug, or let people know where they can find you online?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at Herzweston, HERZWESTEN, and I'm beginning to regret picking that username 20 some years ago when I first picked it for AIM. So
did we lose Crystal?
Yeah.
I think he lost.
She disconnected.
Oops.
Okay. Well, anyway, sorry. Keep going, Jason.
Yeah, that's all. You know where to find me on Twitter, and I've got all my fingers in all the Starfinder projects or what have you. And so keep an eye out for Drift Crisis, which comes out soon. I think. I don't know. So I will wish you all a happy New Year, and I hope I will talk to you all again soon.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye.
New Year,
Happy New Year.
Bye, Jason. Say hi to the dog for us.
Crystal, what are you looking forward to in the new year?
Oh gosh. Pass. Luis, what are you looking forward to in the new year?
I'm looking forward to getting back into town and reaching out to my friend Crystal about getting some lunch with me and the old crew, Eleanor and Ron. Yeah.
Man, I miss all of you. You were amazing people to work with. You are a spectacular team, and I am continually impressed by how much you produce.
We sure do produce a lot.
Yeah, I'm not happy with how overworked you all are, but I'm impressed you can maintain good quality.
Yeah, looking forward to that, and then looking forward to talking about all the stuff I can't talk about next year because we keep doing cool things.
I remember.
I just want to talk about all of it. Oh, and I guess I'll work out more because that's what you say.
Yeah, everybody says that.
Yeah,
I am looking forward to playing Robotech with Crystal.
Ooh. Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to 3D printing some Robotech midis so I can play
Yes.
Really looking forward to getting my 3D printer parts. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Depending on how well my book sells and how the royalties look, I might be getting a bigger 3D printer.
Are you talking about Chirrup, or are you talking about your
Chirrup.
next? Okay. I mean, it's doing pretty well, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm the author. I don't know anything about this book.
Oh, it is a wonderful book. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Highly recommend anybody in the audience go pick up this book. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I was lucky to be teamed up with just an amazing artist who just knocked it out of the park in terms of like subtle facial expressions and body language and business. Business is an animation term. It means like the characters are doing things besides having talking head dialogue. So, the characters will be like on their phone or like drinking a coffee and go through the process of drinking the coffee, finishing it, throwing it away all over the course of a conversation. And yeah, Val is just some kind of art god, and I have no idea who I pleased to end up teamed up with him.
The tone of the writing and the art is a perfect match. Right. And that's so important in comics.
Gosh.
Well, I think we're going to be wrapping up soon. We've been going at this for 2.5 hours now. So, Luis, if you have anything you would like to plug or would like to let people know where they can find you online.
I'm sure people will be seeing a lot of me very soon. On Mondays, though, right?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Go Direction is moving to Mondays with Luis and Vanessa joining me as the new co-hosts.
When Wait, this is the first I've heard of this. Congratulations, Luis.
Well, thank you. I get to follow in the footsteps of giants. Well, a giant.
Ryan's
he is ridiculously tall.
I'm not. I just have the presence of a tall person. I'm only 6 feet tall.
He wears
I'm
big
5'11"
shoes.
and 3/4 according to my doctor.
Yeah, I gotta say, every time I've worn heels at PaizoCon, Ryan has looked very tiny.
Yeah, otherwise I'm just always doing stuff around. I post on, just go to luisloza.com and you'll find links to whatever the heck I'm doing at a given time, or whatever I'm neglecting at a given time. I managed to write up a blog post today for to go up soon. For the first time in like 2 months, so I feel proud of that. I think I talked elsewhere about it, but I'm getting to write a Pathfinder 2e class for Owen. I'm converting his Time Thief and Time Warden.
Oh wow, that's a great one.
So that'll be starting in the new year. My series on that, which will I'll be publicly doing that, making a class out in the open, which is probably the preferred way to do that, of course, where everyone can see what you're doing and tell you all your mistakes along the way once you're done.
We're gonna have a very interesting episode about this.
And then,
Luis, can I share the conversation we had about the Time Thief?
Sure. I think you said, "Hey, I have ideas," and then I said, "Yeah, let me know what those ideas are."
That I did not follow up with any of the ideas. I totally let it slip my mind.
That's
but
okay.
I do have notes for what you could do with the Time Thief in 2A if you're still interested.
So yeah, look forward to that in the new year. That's one of the things I'm starting actually for real in January. So luisloza.com or here on the No Direction Network.
And Crystal, where can people find you, and what would you like people to pay attention to?
Oh no.
Could Crystal hear us? Oh no, we've lost Crystal. Oh. I mean, it seems appropriate that we begin and end the episode with technical issues with our guests. Oh, there's Crystal. All right, Crystal, now's your chance. Plug.
Hi. So yeah, you can mostly find me over on Twitter. I am not subtle, although I've been staying away from it over the holidays for my own mental health. But yeah, I tend to post updates about my projects there. And you should pick up a copy of Cheer Up, because it is a lovely book and it is heartwarming and it is just pure uplifting queer happiness, which we don't really see a lot of these days.
All right, thank you, Crystal. Thank you for making the time for us. I'm really glad that we got to.
What's your Twitter handle so people can go follow you?
Yeah, Luis's Twitter handle.
I mean, it's probably just easier to Google Twitter Crystal Frazier, but I'm at Amazon.chique, Amazon Chic.
All right. Well, thank you to you both. Happy holidays, and hopefully I'll talk to you both in the new year.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Perram, early on I talked about this eggnog and
it
how it
finally
was too
cold?
warm to drink, and so it's been sitting on an ice block for the last 2 hours, and I have reached to take a sip about 20 times in the last hour because my water and tea are done. But because we had brought it up earlier, I didn't feel like I could take a sip until I could address that I was now taking a sip of this eggnog. And since we were finally getting our guests without technical difficulties, and we were cramming in as much of the guests as we could, now is the time that I finally got to take a sip of my homemade eggnog that I just made earlier tonight. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. It is very thick. It's good though.
I was expecting a spit take and like no, it had gone right.
After I criticized Jason, I should have taken the same bullet that I told him to take. So the problem with eggnog is that if you do not cook it right, you could scramble the eggs and drink milk, sugar, and scrambled eggs. So good news, other than its thickness, and that's an easy thing to remedy. It is a good glass of eggnog.
Nice. Fantastic.
All right, so
If
Darren
you-
Caldemeyer said, "Fare thee well, Ryan. I look forward to your new adventures. Thank you for all you have done for the KD Network." Yeah, we've got about 15 minutes left in our regular schedule time. We don't have to take it all up, but I do just want to thank you, Perram, for the last 10 years that you've served as the co-host, that you have brought innovation to the No Direction Network, and that you have brought just a nice complementary set of skills and interests to the podcast, which really has been just a highlight of the last decade of my life, and is one of the reasons that I am in such a good position in my life. One of the reasons I got the Renegade Games opportunity. And yeah, it has been a highlight of the last decade, and I am very happy to have shared that time with you.
Right. Honestly, like I can't even imagine what my life would have been like if I hadn't met up with you and we started doing this podcast together. And I know that it would have been a lesser experience, and I'm thankful for every moment that I have gotten to spend with you. I absolutely wish you amazing success in the other show we're going to be doing together.
Yes.
Because
This is why this is so weird.
I know,
I'm
it's
saying
so
goodbye
weird.
to you. We're going to be chatting from now on till forever, and we're going to be co-hosting a podcast exactly like this one.
No. Honestly, if we weren't, this would be like I would be like breaking out in tears right now if I wasn't already in deep plans for doing the exact same stuff we do together on Wednesday. But y'all, Ryan, this has been amazing. You have been an invaluable part of the Pathfinder community and one of the reasons for its success. And I thank you so much for it. And I thank you for every bit of happiness that you've brought me.
Well, thank you for taking over the reins. I'm looking forward to what you, Luis, and Vanessa bring to the podcast in the future. I'm looking forward to getting to hear about Pathfinder stuff from the No Direction podcast, being surprised by it, really not having my finger off the pulse of Pathfinder, but still going to be able to keep up with everything that's going on with it, thanks to you.
You're going to be amazingly informed with like half the stress and work involved.
Right? It's when they decided that the soft covers that we only rarely reviewed would become hardcovers that we always review this year. We didn't
have
every
to.
hardcover that came out.
We didn't have to review them all. We didn't have to do that.
We did.
They happen to be amazing books, so yes, we did.
It's true. Like, let's say that Luis and Eleanor really dropped the ball, and the Lost Omens line was nowhere near as good as the role-playing game line. Then maybe we wouldn't have reviewed them. But I was super happy to review these books. I was happy to get early copies of these so that I could dive into them. Wangi Expanse especially. That was just a real game changer for the whole industry.
Yeah. And it's Wangi Expanse has kind of raised the bar on what I expect from good role-playing publishing from here on out too. So they really have challenged the entire world to do better.
Are we doing a private sanctum today?
I think we should, because it's the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, y'all. If you want to help support the podcast, and actually, this is actually a really great time to support the podcast because conventions are going to start happening again soon, and I would like to be able to do them. And we are very close to the Patreon. If we can get to $500 a month on Patreon, that unlocks a travel budget that this network desperately needs. And so we would very much appreciate any support there. And as one of the bonuses for supporting us on Patreon, you get to participate in the private sanctum after parties, which take place after the episodes of No Direction. Join us over on Discord and make sure you link your Patreon account with your Discord. It gives you access to the channels. You can hop in, voice chat with us for about half an hour to an hour after each episode. And it's become one of my favorite parts of the network is just getting to hang out with our community and just chat about whatever you ask us to talk about, because that's how those episodes are made. And if you can't make the episodes live, the recordings of those episodes are released onto the Patreon account so that you can download them and listen to them at your leisure.
So for the last time, I'm Ryan Costello.
And I'm Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Perram.
And if you want to find the path, you need no direction.